All right. Well, everybody, welcome to my first podcast episode. I'm here with a wonderful woman I met backpacking, Abena, in El Salvador. Lots of energy. Definitely gonna be
Yes.
a crazy conversation.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes. This is about to be lit. Okay.
Listen, you're not gonna find any backpacker with more energy than Abena. Like honestly, like I'm curious. I'm curious if anyone can introduce me to someone that can match it. I'm
Mhm.
here for it. Um, well, I kind of want to just jump right back into like where we were kind of talking like before.
Sure.
What kind
We were
of,
getting into like what happened post our experience in El Salvador and
yeah,
seeing like, where did life take us? But specifically with
yeah. Oh, you snitching? I was gonna.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Oh, my bad. I mean specifically, it could have been me. It could have been me. Okay, let's
I,
cut it. Cut it. Let's cut it. Cut it.
I,
Let's cut it. One more time. One more time. My bad. Oh, sorry. My mouth is big. I'm sorry.
So, all right, we're live. I'm here for my first podcast episode. You are now live with the Durag Scholar. A lot of y'all know him. If you don't, Jamal. Come on, I see that little. Come on now, come on now. And I'm here with a wonderful woman I met backpacking. This is Abena. We met in El Salvador. Unmatched energy, unmatched personality. And yeah, so we're definitely gonna
I'm
have a dope
flattered. I'm
conversation.
honored.
Um, Kind of like what I was talking about before. So we were having a little conversation right before the air started, and we were talking about like life after backpacking, after like we met in El Salvador and everything like that.
Hmm.
Some transitions and closing of certain chapters,
Yes.
opening of new chapters and whatnot.
Yes. Yes.
And we kind of got into a point like we were kind of talking on some kind of like what would you call it? Relationship type ish, you know?
Hmm.
Relationship
Hmm.
type
Hmm.
ish, right?
Yes. Yes.
I think I could actually forget what you were saying. You were pretty much saying,
I
oh, you were
think.
talking about women, like
Well,
if you
yeah,
want
I
to
was
go,
think.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I was maybe saying that essentially, um, women sometimes don't understand the signals that men are sending, and I am no relationship expert because I'm single, okay? But I don't think that sometimes women understand the signals that men are sending, and I do believe that if a woman has to guess if a man likes them, or if a woman is confused if a man likes them, then that man does not genuinely like them enough, and that means that you go and spend your time elsewhere. Because with a scarcity mindset, let me just say I've had this a lot because I started dating late in life, and actually when I was on that
Mhm.
backpacking trip, it was because I was going to see a man in Belize. Okay.
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't never fly nowhere
Yeah.
with somebody else not paying for it. That's not going to happen ever again. That's not what I do anymore. And I'm not even a city girl. I don't got the heart, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying in general it just makes no sense when someone is sending me that man was sending me signals that he wasn't maybe that into me, and then I spent my own coin to go and chase something that was a glimmer of a possibility. And I actually,
Mhm.
if I looked back on it, I could have told myself, hey, this man is not really feeling me. And with a scarcity mindset and not necessarily an abundance perspective, you then believe that something that's a good thing that has a fraction of a chance of really working out, that might work. And so you put all your eggs in that basket. But the reality is there's so much out there for you if you're a woman. I don't know about y'all men, but I know for these women out
Ooh.
here. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. For everyone, for everyone, there is so much opportunity out here. And
Mhm.
if you approach the world, and especially dating, I mean, anything, honestly, you can apply it to life. If you approach it with abundance, things work out for me, goodness is bound to fall in my lap, then you walk into those things. But if you
Mhm.
approach it with like, there's only one thing that I'm gonna get, and I'm gonna have to hustle for it and grind for it, and it's the only thing that there's only one person that I'm gonna find, and there's so few of them out here, and it's all that, like, then you walk into a lot of like a lot of bad dudes. If you think you're going to
Straight
walk
up.
into a lot of like amazing men, and I just know that from my last year of dating black men exclusively, that I was in the beginning of the year was like, oh, it's not a lot of educated, fine, tall, because I like them tall, and whatever. That they're
Let me
not.
just
It's
brush
not
my
a
shoulders off real quick. Like, hold
come
on,
on,
hold on.
giants. I love the giant. This is a 5'4" girl talking now, saying that you like them tall. But anyway,
She
I
got six
realized
foot
that
energy. Believe it. Believe it.
that's exactly what I feel like sometimes. Definitely feel like, I shake the room. And so
Yeah.
I definitely think that, yeah, when in the beginning of the year, I definitely had a mindset like there was few educated, successful black men that were also above 6'3". And I'm like, I'm tall.
Yo, the short
And
guy's about to be hot. Oh
I
my
know, I know,
god.
I know, I know. And literally, I'm
Listen,
5'4".
listen, man. We
Yeah.
don't make the game. It's how it goes, man. It's how it goes.
It's not my fault. I do have a big personality, and that is
Yeah.
why I don't even date tall men that don't also hold their own. So it's not even like just tall men. I like tall men that hold their, and even sometimes there are shorter men that have swag for days, and they sometimes can pull me too.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. They can
Yeah.
get it.
A
So
100%
anyway,
though. Like
hmm
talking about like guys for you. Like you definitely you don't need necessarily a guy whose personality is like larger than yours, but he has to really have his feet in the ground. You know what I mean? To be, you know what I mean? Like for real,
yeah,
like
no, I feel you.
you definitely do need a guy with some oomph to him. You know what I mean? Like
Something
for
that
sure, for
like
sure.
yeah, I think a man just as confident in who he is. Let's just say that
Yeah, yeah,
I don't want to run over no man. I definitely don't want to be in charge. And I
yeah.
think I could take a back seat for someone who knows who they are and things of that nature. So regardless, and that's honestly, Jamal, when I met you, I was like, who is this dope? Now, I'm a grandma. Y'all don't know how old I am. I'm gonna tell you how old I am. I'm 34, okay?
Wow, she's
So
snitching on herself, y'all.
I don't care because I don't look like nobody
this
34.
flex on him, flex on him. Let him know.
And I'm about to be 35 in about 2 or 3 months. And so I just feel like I was like, who is this? I did say kid. I'm gonna pause for a second.
Damn.
I'm gonna pause for the sirens.
Oh, you heard that?
Yeah,
Oh, you
yeah,
heard
I heard it,
that?
so I'm
I
cutting
didn't know
it so
you
you
guys
can
could
cut
hear
it.
that.
Um,
Yeah.
but no, I was like, who is this young man? Because I'm a little bit older, so I was like, who is this young man? And I did feel like such you had stature, not just in size, but also in like just how you carried yourself, how
No,
you were
much love.
certain in who you were, and also how you could like connect people with one another. We were in a hostel, and so you were able to link a lot of people together. I just felt like um, your energy and personality like is a gift and a blessing, and I think
Much love.
there are a few people, but there are people who like whenever they come in contact with other people, they're a blessing to them, and I think you have that type of energy and personality that you bless other people. So I was like, who is this child? No, I'm kidding. Because I'm old,
She's
but
just gonna keep studying me this whole segment. I can
I'm
see it coming.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But grandma's will grandma. And that's what no, I'm kidding. I'm not a grandma, but I'm older. I do like to admit that I'm 34. So
Yeah.
and so yes.
Nah, 100%. I appreciate that. And, like, definitely, like, it was crazy. So, for me, like, I remember distinctly, like, I'll never forget the memory. Like, I was in the upstairs of the hostel. This is like a
Hmm.
16-bedroom room or something like that,
Yeah.
or whatever the case may be. And I was just chilling, hanging out with a friend. And I went downstairs to go get water. And then I saw Abena, and, like, I don't know if I actually told you on the trip or not, but, like, I swear to God, the moment I saw you, I was like, I didn't even hear you talk or anything. There's two people I've met on my whole backpacking trip whose energy, like, before ever talking to them or anything, like, there was just honestly, I'm not even a big aura or spiritual person in that sense or
Yeah.
whatnot, but, like, I was like, okay, there's something there. And I literally remember going back to my friend being like, yo, there's somebody there that I feel me and her is gonna get like really close type shit. And
Yeah.
100%, like, all the compliments like you were giving to me is like exactly like what I feel about you. Like, your energy is like, it's amazing, and especially like in an environment like that, like when backpacking and whatnot. Like,
Hmm.
to give people like a little bit of context. I mean, everybody, at least the ones we came across in Central America, everybody's kind of just lost. Like, you kind of just going out there, you're just, I don't know, just trying to find your way, enjoy yourself and everything like
Hmm.
that. But it's hard, um, to, I guess, burst out of your bubble the way people normally would when they have their typical friends around, when they know the
Yeah.
places that they're going, da da da. Like, everybody's taken out of their element,
Yeah.
right? And then
Hmm.
there's a few people like Abena who really stand out because it doesn't at all feel like they've been taken out of their element. So like right away, Ebena's personality shining. Like, she talked about connecting people together. She introduced me to so many people who were like loving her off. Absolutely. You had a little, you can't say you didn't have a little group. You had a little group that was loving you off.
We
You
had
had
a
the
click.
entourage. You had the entourage. That was
We
dope.
had a
That was
click.
dope.
No, we had a
Yeah.
click because my story is that I had come from Mexico. I flew there after I finished grad school and pretty much wanted to go and meet up with someone I had met on OkCupid who had come to America. It's from America, but like was doing some work in Belize. And so once that happened, I like backpacked through or went over the border with in the bus. I stayed like a week in Mexico, a week in Belize, and then I went to Guatemala. In Guatemala, my phone fell in a hot tub. And then it fell in Lake Atitlan, so it was done. And that kind of made me want to go back home. So I wound up staying stationary for a lot longer than I anticipated. And in Antigua, I met these amazing people at this hostel called Barbara's Hostel. You better go if
Shout
you
out.
go. Shout it out. It's beautiful. The breakfast is the 6 o'clock treat is it's like everything. They give you cake at 6 o'clock for free. It's awesome. It's like $12 a night too. Anyway, I met these people there, and because I was there for so long, we built a rapport. And so when I was considering going back home, they were like, "Well, we're going to El Salvador," and then I was like, "Well, I wanted to go this whole trip. That's one of the places in Central America I hadn't been to already. So why not?" And then that's when we got to the hostel where you guys were, and that's when we met. So
Yeah,
that
and
was
and
my little
that
backpacking story.
and that's dope and completely, I mean, kind of off on a little tangent because I remember like Antigua, Guatemala.
Mhm.
So honestly, like at least backpacking Central America, I feel like this way traveling in general, but especially Central America, black people are like a dime a dozen. Like you're
It's
not
so
seeing
rare.
black people. You know what
Nope.
I mean? Like you're not
Nope.
seeing black people. And so
Nope.
I remember I had two distinct encounters with black people in Guatemala. And like for everybody who's not black out there, like I'm gonna give you a little insight on black people. We just have a thing going on. Like we just see each other. You know, what I
It
mean? We
is
might not even
like,
say words. You might not even catch it, but we definitely at least gave each other a nod or yada yada.
yes, yeah.
And we'll do this like whether in the States, whether in Canada, but then when we're traveling, I feel like it's amplified even more because you guys just two fishes thrown on the water, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, you're out
Exactly.
here too? Like
Exactly.
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so I remember meeting two black guys separately. You actually know them as well. That's why they're of interest. Like
Yeah.
Steve was one from Detroit.
Yes,
Shout
we
out,
ate dinner
shout out
together.
Detroit. Shout out
Yes.
Detroit. Shout out Steve.
Yes.
Mr. Street Side Shot. Who also
Mhm.
just like you does a lot of photography straight from his
Yeah.
phone. Cool. And OG from Detroit, calm, mellow as
Yeah.
hell, just living his life.
Yes.
That's one of the things I love
Wise.
about backpacking. You meet so
Mhm.
many people just like who just learn to like, you know what? I'm gonna just live my life. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
regardless, I'm gonna roll the dice on a couple of things. Like even for
Yeah.
you, like going out to Belize, like that situation didn't turn out the way you expected, but you ended up with a lifetime of memories and all these other encounters you
Exactly.
didn't anticipate, right?
Exactly.
And that was because you're
Exactly.
willing to roll the dice and all right, let's see what the world has to offer type of thing, right?
I agree. Yep. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I so agree. And who's the other person that I know?
Nate, like the big, I
Yes.
can't remember what, I don't know if he's Ghanaian as well.
I
I just
think
remember him just being.
so. I
I just
think
remember seeing a
so.
these ass black guy. I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing here? And both times I just went up and started chopping it up and whatnot. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
met him in a club, I think. Oh, that was
Oh, in
fun
Guatemala.
times. Yes. That
See,
was fun times. Yes.
I didn't
You know,
even party in Guatemala. I felt like we were like on the. Well, I guess I did party in like I don't know if it was Flores or whatnot, but in Antigua, I feel like especially you and your group, you guys found the like party life or like social life of Antigua, and I feel like I must have been like one block away where like things were quiet. I wouldn't say duh. I definitely enjoyed myself, but it definitely wasn't. I definitely
Wasn't
wasn't pulling up to
popping.
no club. I definitely wasn't at no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think it's interesting. Antigua is a great place if anybody ever wants to visit. It's a place that has a very large expat community. So you can find people, you can connect with locals, but then you can also find people that might have more in common with you if you're from the West. And I think um, there were events happening at least pre-COVID. There were events happening like salsa lessons or salsa night or bachata night or something like that pretty much every weekend, weekday night. And then on the weekends it was turn up. And that was like our last nights there. And it was like
Mm-hmm.
turn up and we love dancing. And honestly, I consider myself an average Black woman dancer, okay? But when you get in the midst of people that can kind of dance, maybe you're the best dancers. People was hyping me up, and I was like, okay,
I'll take the spotlight when I
yes,
can.
I'll take that. I'll take it because people was hyping me up. I mean, I can do a little two step.
You
Okay,
can move.
I
You
can
can move.
dance,
Yeah.
but I'm just all I'm trying to say is that. I'm by no far doing choreography, okay? But when you're in a certain group and you're like the person that can dance, you're gonna take all the shine if you can. I mean, that's my personality. So anyway, so yeah, it was also fun for me because like I'm dancing and people are hyping me up and I'm literally doing a basic like
Just a
something.
little.
I'm like,
Yeah.
teach me how to do
Yeah.
this. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not doing nothing, y'all. It wasn't
Yeah.
impressive. But then everybody was like, go,
It,
go,
it,
you
it,
know.
it's all about the swagger. Like that's what advice I'll give out. Like for the people who've turned up with me, I know how to bust out the same 6 dance moves and make them stretch out for 5 hours and keep them fresh. And a lot of it is
Yes,
energy. Like honestly, I got the Jamaican waistline. I got that,
yes.
and I have a
Come
2 step.
on.
And
Come
shout out
on.
I got a little snappy roll. You know what I
Yes,
mean? So we rock
yes.
with it. But I mean, honestly, it's 95% energy,
Yeah, I
ninety
do
five
agree
percent
that with that.
energy, and being willing to just I'm gonna do my thing, whether I'm in the spotlight or not. I'm gonna just do
Hmm.
my thing and have a good time, and yeah, that
I
rubs off.
agree. I
Mhm.
agree. And I think that is what like this backpacking experience taught me in general. And I think it was what I could apply to my life when I got back home and what I'm still trying to always recreate, even if I'm not traveling. And it really is this idea of like, I can take risks, I can be adaptable, I can like you know, put myself in positions that might make me a little bit uncomfortable to actually experience something that I wouldn't have otherwise. Like
Mhm.
doing something different renders different results. And I know that as a result of that trip, it changed my life. It gave me new perspective. And then also taking that character building that occurred during that time and applying it to my everyday life. I know I'm so different as a result of travel. So I think I mean, if you talk about my life, I promote traveling to Black places specifically because I believe in the power of traveling to Black places for Black people and even allies. But in general, travel is a cheat code to figuring out who you are, to self-discovery, and but for Black people, I think it's especially powerful in helping you combat like anti-Blackness and understanding your identity and loving yourself.
True.
So
I
anyway,
love that.
I'm all over the place, but I do think travel like if anybody can have opportunities and it's a luxury, I get it. It is a luxury.
For sure. For
Having the
sure.
money to do that. I know people who had to leave early on trips because they didn't maybe have the money or just things didn't work out. Even at times I was like, if I wasn't able to work at the same time, I'm not sure if I was going to be able to afford to pay my mortgage back at home and then also pay to stay somewhere and then also be like so it helped a lot to be able to work. But anyway, all I'm trying to
One
say, I
thing,
get it. Go ahead.
my bad to cut you off. One thing I kind of want to
Please.
shut out there because this is what opened my mind to traveling. Although I ended up spending money, but so for me, like I was always big on traveling. I had a few shorter experiences before my time backpacking. Like I was in Iceland, I was in Cuba. Like I've done some things, but they're usually like week trips and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, what opened me up to backpacking was I learned about a program or a platform called Workaway, which essentially you're like part time volunteering. Maybe you're teaching English, maybe you're helping check in at a hostel and whatever the case
Mhm.
may be. And you can get like free board, free meals, and whatnot, and then you have so much excess time to travel. And like
Yeah.
honestly, when you're backpacking, a lot of your expenses really is just eating and
And
sleeping
lodging.
and
Yeah.
like finding a place to stay and whatnot. So definitely, like regardless of your financial circumstance, I understand that it's definitely a privilege to be able to do it, and that's why I went and jumped once my opportunity opened up for it. But there are platforms to help you make it more accessible for whatever your circumstance may be, like Workaway. And definitely for people, if you're able to find a way to make money location independently. Like
Mhm.
Abena, like she had a gig where she was able to just, as long as she had internet, she can make money. There's so many ways to do that right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those are definitely options to explore. But on a side note, like one thing I wanted to touch on, um, what was it? Yeah, so one of the key conversations like I really wanted to like have with you about all of this stuff was, so I'm definitely a huge advocate for travel as well. I'm constantly talking about anytime I start to get into any sort of longer conversation with someone, travel always comes up. And one thing I noticed that I constantly run into is like I'll be talking to women about backpacking, and a lot of times they'll love the idea, but then
Mhm.
they have a lot of like reservations and whatnot, of course being a woman, and about like safety and things of that nature. And like I've met women who've backpacked and done extended travel by themselves,
Mhm.
um but it's hard for me to speak on it because I'm a guy. So
Yeah.
right, like safety concerns are a legitimate thing for sure, whether you're a male or woman. Is definitely heightened if you're a woman. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to get you to put your input on like how how can women feel more safe and comfortable to do a backpacking trip by themselves? Like how did you make it happen?
So I think it's important to acknowledge that women live in a world where we walk out the house and we have to think twice about maybe looking left and right to make sure that there's nobody else coming. Like we live in that world. That's a normal occurrence. And I think men have maybe sometimes the luxury of not. I do think that
Sure.
you're safe, but like I would just I don't know. Maybe you might go running in the middle of the night and I might be like, "Oh no, I can't do
Yeah.
yeah, I can't do something like that. Just not." And so I do want to acknowledge anyone who has some fears or reservations about it, that those can be legitimate.
Hmm.
I do think that there's some ways to do it in a way that you feel a little bit more comfortable by choosing places that you feel have less crime towards women. Central America in general, I felt was very safe. When I talk about a place like El Salvador in particular, there is a lot of information out there. There's a lot of negative narratives about a place like El Salvador. I live in America. I live in Philadelphia, as a matter of fact, what was once called Philadelphia. I live in the hood, which I'm repping hard, North Philly all day, every day. And the reality is that there are dangers that I can experience just at my home that I probably have a lesser chance of experiencing when I'm traveling abroad. It's not to minimize any dangers there, but maybe you don't live in an unsafe place. So maybe you're not like me, but I do know living in America in and of itself has a level of certain uncertainty and crime that we just have become accustomed to and maybe don't have the same level of fear that when we talk about traveling that fear generates or something like that because it's an unknown. We know
Hmm.
the danger that's in front of us, but because we haven't traveled, we might not have that understanding of that danger, so it seems like it's greater. But even in El
Hmm.
Salvador, in doing some research, so I wrote a little bit of blog posts about El Salvador or how to travel safely in general, and specifically, sometimes crimes are targeted towards people who are traveling, who might have more money, but a lot of crime in El Salvador specifically is gang related and has to do with like individuals who are there, not necessarily foreigners. I'm not saying no one takes advantage of foreigners, but you keep your wits about you. You don't travel, you try not to travel places at night. You try not to travel places alone at night if you are going to do that. Staying in a hostel is a really great way to find people who can be around you, who can look out for you. You can also share your location with the people back home, even though it's hard to like get their immediate reaction or response if something were to happen. You can communicate with the staff at the place wherever you're staying. If it's not a hostel, if it's a hotel situation, you can get vetted sources of transportation. Now Uber's a thing, but sometimes the hotel or the hostel has ways to get around. But we took things like buses, and I felt a lot more comfortable because I was in a hostel with a number of different people. And so I think finding friends, even if you're traveling alone, finding friends is a great thing to do to feel a little bit more safe. But do your research. I would try to have a wide cast a wider net when you're searching about research, because if you listen to the United States in particular will tell you, and I'm from the US, so that's why I'm saying that, but probably
Yeah.
governments will be real shady with developing nations and how they might
Yeah.
be dangerous. But
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all saw what happened in the United States in early January with our Capitol building being stormed by homegrown terrorists. So we have our own
Yeah.
issues. And so all I'm trying to say, and we have bombings, I'm just trying to say we a mess. We got a nerve to talk about somebody else. So I would try to
Yeah.
find sources that are not biased, because I do think Western sources towards developing nations have vested interest in getting people to have fear of the unknown. So that's
and
all I got
and
to
and
say.
and that's the thing about Central America. So definitely, like, of all the places to backpack, people normally have the most fears about Central America.
Which I don't
Um,
understand.
which is, yeah, like, and they do have very serious gang problems there. But honestly, like, one of my principles for staying safe when I was out there was like, I stay away from the drugs. Like,
Hmm.
honestly, like, there's a lot of times people are offering me this and offering me that, and
That's
to be
right.
honest, a lot of the gang violence revolves around drugs, and you probably could be fine. But if you stay away from the drugs, more or less, like, you're probably gonna be okay. And like,
Yeah.
especially for a woman out there, like what Ebena's point was, one of the points she had made was, finding friends. Like, I know it seems super risky to like trust your life with people like you're just meeting in another part of the world and whatnot,
Hmm.
but honestly, like even from what Ebena's saying, like, it's safe and it's also normal. Like, you have to understand that once you leave Canada, or once you leave the States or whatever, normality changes, right? And it definitely takes a whole amount of like courage and bravery to go to another country, meet people, and then feel comfortable. Okay, I'm gonna travel with them, and they're watching my back and whatnot. But a lot of people, especially women, are in that together, and I think a lot of times you can build friendships with other women like that and
Yeah.
develop like a group where you guys can safely go place to place, and definitely stay out of being on the road at nighttime specifically, just walk in through rural
Hmm.
areas or anything like that. um and yeah, but there's definitely, like, I've met a number of women on my backpacking trip in Central America who were all traveling solo. I met some women who were traveling solo for
Yeah.
years. I know some who were doing it for months or whatever the case may be. But it's something that you honestly have to come to your own comfortability with. Like, there's definitely real threats and dangers, but question your fear a little bit more. Like, definitely probe it. Like Abena said, like, there's a lot of stuff spoken about like Central America and all the developing nations that can give an exaggerated sense of like how dangerous it is. Like,
Hmm.
my family thought I was on a suicide mission. Like, oh, you're going to Central America? Well,
Yes.
I do a lot. To be fair, I'll be honest. I do a lot of things that make my family sometimes think like
Nervous.
he probably doesn't care if he dies, but you know what I mean? Like, to be honest, my grandmother's always just like, she's just to the point now where she's like, okay, like, I'm not
I
even
think
gonna
that's a
say
black
anything
people
on that.
thing. Also, it's like we got enough trouble. Why are you gonna put yourself in trouble?
In
Type
more
of thing.
trouble. That's how they see it. 100%. That's how they
Like
see
you got
it.
enough stress here. Why are you trying to put yourself in more
Go and find
stress?
more.
Like yeah, more
Exactly.
yes. So
Exactly. But yeah, no, I definitely encourage everybody, like women, men, black, white, whatever the case may be, like,
yeah,
try to get a backpacking experience. It honestly is life changing, and like,
yeah.
there's a certain level, like, I can definitely speak from me and like like especially my roommate as well, who I'm sure I'm gonna have on here as well with his backpacking experience. You come back with a heightened sense of confidence when you're
Hmm.
taken out of your element. You kind of don't know how things work. It's a different system. It's a different language, but you kind of start to learn like everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna work its way out.
Yes.
You're gonna be told the bus station is one place. You go there, it's not there. The bus is gonna come at this time. It came already
Yeah.
before. You're gonna be looking for a hostel, whatever the case may be. But like, honestly, that's the best training grounds for life. honestly.
Exactly, exactly. I agree so much. And I would just also say when it comes to traveling I think this applies to the danger aspect and maintaining safety as well as just the approach towards backpacking if you consider it as an option for you. I think just having more of a glass half full or positive outlook. I know I sound a little frou-frou and spiritual and like crystals and things like that, but the reality is, like, certain attitude or positivity will really change the way that you see the world and therefore change your reactions and therefore change the way that people interact with you. And so even in
Very
challenging
powerful.
situations, you're going to notice that with a little bit of positivity added to that, it's going to make the situation a lot better. And I'm just saying, when you approach traveling like that, the difficulties like missing the bus, it just came, or it's not coming for another 5 hours, will be a lot better than, because you're going to wait anyway, right? Like, but that happens in
Seriously.
life. In life, things that you don't want to happen are going to happen anyway. It's the way that you choose to deal with it. And all I'm trying to say is that when I traveled, I might have been that way before a little bit, maybe had a foundation of that. But when I traveled, I realized more and more that, oh, either I'm going to be miserable and wait, or I'm going to make the best out of this. And that's kind
Seriously.
of how life, it made me think, okay, this is what's happening in life. Either it's going to be good and I'm going to enjoy what's happening currently because I can't change that, or I'm going to be miserable. And honestly, there were so many situations that I had to be adaptable like that and enjoy the
Mhm.
moment or be miserable. I was like, I can't live miserable or I'm going to be miserable all the you
Yeah,
know.
you're not living at that point, right? You're
Exactly,
not living it.
exactly, exactly. And
Mhm.
so then you have fun at the bus stop waiting. You meet new people. You like, eat a snack, like you
Seriously.
pass the time away even without Wi-Fi. You just learn stuff about yourself and learn stuff about other people. You make it work. And
Mhm.
so, and I know the bus stop is just one example, but I do think that that's an analogy for like life like or a metaphor
Seriously.
for life in general. And I just think travel like magnifies that and really shows you, like, test your metal and shows you what you're made of, and I think it pushes you to be the better you. So
Yeah. 100%. And
mhm,
honestly, like, there's not a single person I've met backpacking who hasn't felt like they've come back better and more
mhm,
resilient and had moments that changed their life and inspired them and amazed them and everything like that. So yeah, you're definitely listening to two big preachers of backpacking. But
yes,
staying on the topic of like safety and everything, do you actually have, completely going against what we were saying, do you
that's
have any scary encounters? Like, did you have moments where you felt in danger as a woman? Like, what were some near encounters if you had any? And then especially being a black woman as well, did you feel like that
yeah.
added another element?
I'll try to tell you about like three really quickly. One time in St. Croix, the US Virgin Islands, I was with three girls, one who lived there actually, and we were going to be going to this very secluded like waterfall on the coast. We had to go through this jungle portion, and we were going with 4 or 5 men. We wouldn't have Wi-Fi service. We were going for or cell phone service at all. We were going with 4 or 5 men, and something in my spirit said, "Sis, don't go." And granted, nothing happened, but I decided to trust my intuition, and that's another thing you should do. Trust yourself. If you feel
Hmm.
a little second of like hesitation, follow that. That is you sensing what your normal senses don't pick up, right? So if
Yeah.
you feel a moment of hesitation, I would follow that, especially when you're traveling, because what you don't know, you don't know. And so
Exactly.
you're something that is inside of you are saying, wait, and it's not being scary, but just, like trust that part of you. So your intuition. So that's one. Another one was that I got into a car in Nicaragua. Yes, in Nicaragua, I was supposed to be going to the airport to go home. I took a hack cab instead of like an official taxi by myself. And this was my first or second time in Central America. So this wasn't on this backpacking trip.
Yeah.
I have in my GPS the airport. The man is going the opposite way. I don't speak Spanish, y'all. He eventually explains that he's going to pick up his like girlfriend first, and then she works at the airport, so he'll take us together. But for about a good 5 minutes, I'm like, where this man taking me? Okay. Because we were
Seriously.
not going in the direction of the airport. Like we were right on the main road for the airport, and he was taking me somewhere else. So that was one thing.
Mhm.
Made me think like maybe I should take legitimate sources of transportation. But then another time I don't think I've had very close near encounter, like serious danger, but I do know that, and I'm saying y'all should not do this, but I know in Morocco, people have a lot of stories, women have a lot of stories of like mistreatment from just the society at large, especially men. And so I'm have a 24-hour layover in Casablanca. I get to the place like center of Casablanca probably at like 7 or 8. It's dark outside. Someone wants to charge me double the price because I'm a foreigner, of course. And so I said, it's only 5 minutes away. I'm gonna walk my little black ass. Excuse me.
You all
That.
good? Nah, nah. We
I'm going
unfiltered.
I'm going walk my black butt down the street. When I tell you that was the stupidest thing I could have done. I walked on like somewhat of a highway, maybe like a really busy
Damn.
like thing. It wasn't a highway. Maybe it was like a 3 lane each side thing. Nobody was outside. It was very dark. It was the city. It was urban, but then I had to walk where the main road was and where my hotel was. It was just super dark and super sketchy. And I just was. Now y'all know I was praying. That's what I was doing. I was saying, Jesus, you have made a way out of no way. Sometimes I was like,
All the
I
hints
should
start coming
turn.
out from your
I
childhood and
I was like,
everything.
I should really turn around because it just looked, and I
Bad,
told
bad.
you you should listen, and I didn't even listen to myself at that time. But I was like, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna make it. And I was like, that was the dumbest thing I've ever done. So I'm not saying that these were instances where like, oh, I have had a gun almost pulled on me. This is my
Jeez.
favorite place. All right, I'll tell you that
Jeez.
one. Sorry, this is the last one. So Haiti is my favorite country ever. Let me just say that. I'm gonna preface it with that. Haiti is my
Yeah.
favorite country ever. Period, hands down.
Shout out Haiti.
Haiti, yes, Haiti's
Yeah.
everything. And so we went to go to the largest fort in the Western Hemisphere. Excuse me, it's called Le Citadel or something like that. And it's they mo locals who drive motorcycles took us up the hill and then they waited for us. Now, supposedly there's two forms of Haitian currency, and they told us like essentially 10 US, no, they told us like 3 US each, and then they told us made it like 10 US, something like that. Something like that. I
Mhm.
said, y'all done spent 4 hours waiting for us. $10 is going to cost me a cup of coffee at Starbucks and a cake pop. Okay. I'm going to pay it. It's not a big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
It's like, and this is going to make a material difference in people's lives here. So
Lives, yeah.
I'm,
Which is
I'm good.
huge.
$10 not going to do nothing to me. My friends, I'm not trying to shade nobody, but there were people who are with me, let's just say that, who were like, it's the principle of the matter. We're not paying it. So yes, the guns almost came out. The man showed us the gun.
Straight up. He
I said,
flashed it over
I
10.
didn't pay
Hey.
my, I said, I paid my money. I'm getting in the tap tap. Y'all can do whatever you want. I paid my man my money. Y'all can do
Yeah.
whatever y'all want. If y'all want to, if it's worth this,
Yeah.
so be it. But that, I mean, but that was unnecessary. Pay people what
Mm.
they worth. Make it fair. That's all I got to say.
Mm.
I know I'm talking a lot, but I'm just saying,
It's
like,
all good.
make it fair. Like, make it fair. So that was, but that wasn't even nothing. That was like y'all trying to. I don't even think they were trying to cheat us. I think $10 is warranted for like four
For,
hours,
yeah. Yeah.
and using your gas to take us up a hill and down a hill, like it
Yeah.
just doesn't make
Specifically from a
sense.
taxi, like I would agree.
Yeah.
But I can't lie, like you guys see the flag behind me, the Jamaican flag, like
Yes.
listen, when I'm backpacking, especially, like I'm cutting every dollar possible. Because honestly, there is a level of fairness, and honestly, you're making an impact in people's lives. But
Hmm.
there definitely in a lot of places with a lot of people. My voice keeps getting ruffled, but
Sorry.
with a bunch of different people and whatnot who will see that you're a foreigner,
And take
see
advantage
that
of
you're coming from like a developed nation, and
it.
they're going
Hmm.
to try and take advantage. And so a lot of times, like if you can work your way and kind of know how to talk to people and still be respectful and whatnot,
Yeah.
and be willing to talk to more people, see the options, build a sense. And it always helps when you get to learn more of their culture. If you can speak a little bit of the language and whatnot. Fortunately for me, I knew Spanish when I went to Central America, so
Hmm.
I live watched so many people. Like I would go get a price, talking in Spanish. People come talk to English. I just left and I hear them getting 7, 8, 9 times the
Yeah.
price that I paid, right? And so
Yes.
yeah, there's definitely two sides to it. Like when you're backpacking, there's the okay, you're trying to cut your costs as much as you can or work on
Yeah.
principle or whatnot, and then there is a certain level of okay, you know what, to be fair, I am from a developed nation. You know what, does these
Yeah.
couple dollars really make a difference to my life and whatnot? So
Yeah,
everybody
just
kind
make
of
it
got to
fair for
find their
everybody.
own.
That's what I
Yeah,
think. Because I feel
yeah.
like sometimes there are people who cheat you, who want to cheat you.
Cheat you
No,
100%.
don't make it fair. Make your profit, but don't sell me a pencil for $22. Like that's not.
Yeah, yeah,
What you think I was born yesterday?
yeah.
No, that's not going to happen, baby. And so, yes, also
Mhm.
coming from, I'm Ghanaian, so coming from an African background, we not taking the first price is I'm gonna set, and then I'm gonna set my price 10 times lower than what I'm going to pay because I know it's going to get there to eventually where I want it to be.
Exactly,
You going to set
exactly.
your price 10 times high, and I'm going to set my price 10 times low, and we're going to work it out. Okay.
What I love about backpacking though, especially in these countries, is that you can do that. Like I love the
Yeah.
fact that you can
You can
both
barter.
come
Yeah.
to a
Mhm.
place where you guys both feel okay. For you felt $10 for our drive. This is worth it. He definitely felt like it's worth it. Like
Mhm.
that's definitely
Mhm.
one thing I enjoy about traveling is that prices aren't set. Like
Yeah.
it makes it easier to have prices set, but you get to be you get to really pay how much you actually value things. Like if I don't value
Exactly.
certain excursions and whatnot, and I can't work a better price, I'm not gonna do it. You know
I'm
what I
not
mean?
doing it.
Or
Yes.
exactly. So
Yes.
having that
Yes.
flexibility is dope. It's definitely
It's
dope.
very dope. It's very dope. Have you been in danger? Have you had an episode of danger
When I
during
was
that?
backpacking specifically,
Yeah, or period, anytime.
I mean,
When you're traveling.
definitely
Traveling, yeah.
In Canada, there's some things that have happened which I probably won't speak on, but
Okay. And specifically traveling. How about that?
yeah,
But even
going with traveling. One story that came right back to my mind, when you talk about following your gut and whatnot is, I'm definitely willing to roll the dice in a lot of situations and whatnot, and I have a certain level of, I don't know, like in rougher areas, I know how to carry myself. I know how
yeah,
to
yeah,
hold
yeah.
myself like that.
Hmm.
I don't know that's something I can really teach anyone, but based on my early experiences of life, that's something I've gotten. Um, but I remember one time I'm in San Salvador, and this is the capital of El Salvador, whatnot. And it's late night, it's dark. I don't even know where I am at all. So I'm just desperately just looking to find like a place to sleep and not be walking the roads with my passport, my backpack, and everything and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so I came to one place, and I don't know. They walked me in. I would have been the only person staying there. They seemed to be a legitimate like hostel business or whatever the case may be. But I don't know. Something really came in my spirit. Like they gonna try and set me up, and like I never had that before. Like I'm not.
You're
That's
not a
not where
scary
my
person.
that's
Yeah.
not where I that's not where my mind typically goes, right? But there's just something about just the eye contact and the body language and the vibes and everything where I realized like you know what. So they brought me to my room, didn't even sit on the bed or anything. Like once I made a read on my vibe and whatnot, just got up and left and whatnot. And so who knows what that could have turned into.
Too,
Maybe I
yeah.
was tripping about nothing, but it is important to follow your gut, right? Like you
Hmm.
don't want to lay your head down somewhere where you don't feel good closing your eyes and whatnot.
Exactly. Exactly. And I
Um
know that's the extreme. Let me just say, most people who are starting off backpack will not do what you just did, be in South Salvador and be like, I don't know where I'm sleeping tonight.
yeah.
But I do think that there is backpacking is an array of different things. It is a prolonged stay somewhere other than your home, where you carry all of your possessions with you and move from
Mhm.
place to place to experience a new place, and that can look a lot different. There are people who backpack Lux, okay?
Yeah,
There are
for
people who are
sure. For
going
sure.
to $500. That's not me, because that's
Hmm.
not how I can save my little coins.
Yeah.
But some people are spending nights at like really nice establishments. And let me just say, I'm lying, because after that trip, I realized that I like, if I'm going to travel for a prolonged period of time, I would actually like to settle somewhere for a prolonged period of time versus having to live out of my backpack, not really be able to unpack my stuff and hang them. And like,
Yeah.
I guess it's
Yeah.
like I really want to settle somewhere. And so if I do travel, I would probably like rent an apartment for a long, like 3 months or something, and stay in
I
that
thought
one
I
spot and
thought
make a
about
home.
I thought about doing that in Utila, Honduras. Let me shout out first of all.
Yes.
We gotta go into shout out motherfucking Utila, Honduras, yo. Oh my god, it's an island off the
Everything.
mainland. It's amazing.
Mhm.
Give a super quick rundown about Honduras. I actually had a cousin who lived in Costa Rica at the time that I went backpacking, and this is a guy bigger than me, ex CFL, like he's a real deal and everything like that. And that over the course of 3 years, that man's never set foot on Honduran soil. He's like, I'm not playing no games with them. Like,
Ah.
there's a lot of murder and killing and whatnot. Kind of the same like El Salvador, really. Like, there's a lot of
Mhm.
areas in that region, but he was terrified of it. And when I told him I was going, that was another shaking of the head from a family member. It's just like,
Yeah,
Jesus, these
like fam,
kids.
no.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly, or whatever. But let me go. First of all, shout out the whole country.
Yes,
Amazing time there and
beautiful.
amazing stories and everything in Honduras. But yeah, went to an island there called Utila. It's kind of it's a backpacker's hidden gem, you know, like a lot of people don't know about it as a destination spot or whatnot, but it's actually the cheapest place in the world to scuba dive, which I
Wow.
did after learning how to swim for the first time in my life on that trip. Saw whale shark there, like that's a video like I have on my Instagram. Saw amazing experiences. A small island, beautiful people, amazing energy and everything like that. I can't even remember honestly why I went into what was I talking about
Uh,
Honduras? We're talking about
Utila.
danger, following your gut. Oh yeah, so this is
Uh,
pretty much just you know what I mean, just like rolling your dice and whatnot. Because I generally went into Honduras with I still was going to do it, but I did have a certain anxiety built based on like everything other people saying and all the warnings, and you know you look up the stats and you know they have multiple cities in the top murder cities of the world, all of those cities which I've been to, and I'm still here and I'm fine, and no encounters and whatnot. um but yeah, like I don't know, it's hard. Like I don't want to act naive and act like bad things can't happen 100%. Like for instance, when I'm in El Salvador, I don't even know if I told you about this story. I'm in El Salvador, and at one point, it's just a pickup truck in the back, full with dudes with guns, just filled with dudes with guns, like gang members or whatever. And they looked at me, I looked at them. They went about their business and whatnot. Like, but the threat is real. Like things could potentially happen and whatnot. Um, but I don't know, like definitely, like if you're looking to be scared, like you know what I mean. Like I have family members who are terrified about Canada. You know what I mean. Like
mhm.
if you're going to the right media sources, you're gonna be scared of anything wherever and whatnot. Like people are people everywhere. You know what I mean. People, we all want to be
Yeah.
good to other people. We want to love and be loved, and we all want to laugh and smile and whatnot. And I don't know. You can definitely try your best to stay out of the dangerous areas and use your gut instincts, and you can do what other people would think is incredibly dangerous, have a great time. Utila Honduras ended up being like one of my favorite spots on my entire backpacking trip. I stayed multiple weeks in like a rural farm in Honduras, like on the mainland or whatnot. Had an amazing time there. Was living, I don't know, I was just living a farm boy life. I was riding a horse whenever I wanted, milking
That's
cows,
dope.
like all this sort of stuff. Yeah, shout out to that family out there. I honestly feel terrible. I can't remember their first names. There's pretty much these two Americans who I guess they're kind of there on like an evangelist type of mission because they take a bunch of kids that were just like orphans or whatever the case. Have
Yeah.
raised over like 50 kids and whatnot.
Wow.
And they were on workaway. Like that's how I found out about them and whatnot. So they take extra hands on the farm and whatnot, and it was cool. They're doing some amazing stuff. Been there for over 30 years and whatnot.
Okay.
Probably the only white people in rural Honduras over the whole country and whatnot. But they're doing God's work out there. So shout out to them. Shout out to them.
Mm. Ooh, I'm not gonna have no comment on that, but just no, I oh,
Listen, it gets tricky. I think I already know it gets tricky, but I'm vouching for them. I might
you're
not
vouching
vouch.
you
I'm
for
not
all.
vouching necessarily for everything, but I'm
You're
vouching for
vouching for
them. I
them.
can vouch for
Okay.
them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess this is coming from a person who used to be very conservative Christian who now looks at Christianity as being weaponized against poorer people and used to
Mhm.
oppress poorer people. So I always have a side eye all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
A perpetual side eye all the time. So anyway,
Yeah.
but I
I
do
will say
appreciate.
they didn't go there directly connected to religion. Like I put out the
Okay.
word evangelist.
Okay.
I don't like I think it was honestly just a calling of their heart type of thing, right?
To
Like
help
I
people.
think
To
they
help
went out
people.
there, seen some things, and then established himself there and tried to help as many kids who would otherwise just be in the streets and whatnot. Like some
Got
of the
you.
guys that I
Okay.
met, their brothers got killed in gang violence and whatnot. They don't have any family and whatnot, so it's
Yeah.
like,
So
right?
they're providing them with a better life. I feel you. I feel you. I
Yeah,
feel you.
yeah,
Um, I don't remember what you were saying, but I would love to go to Utila. Utila? Is that how you pronounce
yeah,
it? Utila?
yeah.
Utila?
Utila.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
I'm I'm surprised you never went. I remember
I
if
went
you
to
remember.
Roatan. That's when I went to Honduras. I only went to Roatan, and then I
I have a
flew to
crazy story about Roatan.
what
I have a
happened?
crazy. If it's gonna take some time, I might as well. Whatever. We here, we
Yeah,
live.
we
All right.
here. Why not? Why not? You can chop it up.
Yeah. All right. So let's go through this. So pretty much I'm with a friend in Utila, and we decide that we're gonna go to Costa Rica. But at the time that we are there, Nicaragua was in a civil war.
Yeah,
90% of the roads were blocked and whatnot. I was really disappointed because Nicaragua was actually the top destination for me in Central America.
yeah.
That's where I wanted to go the most.
It's
Um,
beautiful.
Beautiful. So I left Utila. We left Utila, Honduras, went to Roatan, Honduras, where the airport is and whatnot, and had a couple days and whatnot before we caught the flight. Long story short, go to catch the flight. I actually missed the flight. I get into this whole ordeal and whatnot because I still feel like I should have been able to board the flight. It was like an hour. I was like, okay, I'll even accept my bags might come late, but can't board the plane with 50 minutes left to departure. I found that strange and whatnot. Um, was able to talk to the airline, was able to get another flight a few days later. So we're thinking awesome. So we actually get more time to like explore Roatan, love the island and everything. It looked beautiful, so took the extra time. Um one of those days I'm sitting on a bench um by the beach. My friend, I don't even know where they are and whatnot, but I'm just by myself. I'm just chilling. I'm looking at the ocean, just relaxing and vibing, and a local came up to me. And normally I'm usually very sociable, especially when I'm backpacking and whatnot. But on this particular day, I was kind of like defensive. I didn't want someone to like hustle me. I didn't really, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I decided whatever. Like I had a conversation with him. We were chopping it up. He talked about him working in like tourism and whatnot, but he didn't sell me into anything at all. It was just probably a 15-20 minute conversation out of thin air. And when it was all said and done, we just went separate ways and whatnot. Didn't think anything of it. So now it's time to catch the second flight, go there early, going through the whole booking process, everything like that. I go through, my passport's all clear and whatnot. And I'm looking behind and I'm seeing my friends held up. So I'm wondering like what's going on. So, I don't want to leave them behind. I go up to the desks with them and whatnot, and turns out their visa was expired. Then, because I brought myself in the situation, which obviously I wasn't going to leave them behind regardless, but now that brought attention to me. Oh, my visa's expired, right? So now there's this whole thing like we got to pay this fine, which I was so mad about because I was starting to get to my last dollars. I was closing out the last part of my trip and whatnot. Already have to unexpectedly pay for a flight to fly over Nicaragua and whatnot. We have to pay
yeah.
a fine, a few $100s, but we can't do it at the airport. We have to go to a bank. So now shit. So we're gonna miss this second flight now, but we overstayed our visa and whatnot by 1 day. It is what it is. Got to do what we got to do. So I look up a map to get to a bank, the nearest bank, which was probably over 10 kilometers away or whatever. So we have our entire bags fully geared up. I have like a sweater and pants on because I'm thinking I'm gonna be cold on the plane and whatnot. So we're walking in Honduran heat for all this time, tired, annoyed, wondering what's gonna happen. We're gonna get another free flight, yada yada. Get to the destination where the bank's supposed to be, and it's like an abandoned fruit market. If that, there's just like wooden pillars in the ground, and like I'm assuming they're like zinc slate roofs and
Yeah.
whatnot. Like they probably just sell fruits there and whatnot. There's nothing there. We're in the middle of nowhere. The whole time I'm walking up, I'm wondering like, when is a bank just gonna be here? Because this is now like really, this is nothing, just following a dirt trail and whatnot. So fast forward or whatever, don't know what to do, just keep walking and get to another town and then start talking to people and whatnot. And I know Spanish, so that helped a lot. So turned out like if we kept going for quite some time, we'd get to the other, what feels like the other side of the island, and there's some banks there. So there's two banks. I'm told there's two banks. Go to one bank, It's very busy and whatnot. It's not dark, but it's like 4 or 5 p.m. It's gonna get dark. We don't have a hostel. We weren't prepared to stay. It's a shit show. It's a mess at this time. So see the whole lineup at the first bank. I'm like, all right, might as well try the second bank. We go there. It's just as busy, but all right. So now we're in the bank. We're just waiting. It's a whole bunch of locals. I haven't seen tourists at all since we left the airport, right? Whole bunch of locals and whatnot. But for people who don't know, Honduras has darker skinned people who I honestly believe a ship dropped some people off in like
For sure.
Roatan and dropped some people off in Jamaica because like I
They
saw
love
some
yeah.
people where I'm like, that guy in Jamaica, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
and even the
Mhm.
even the Creole that they speak and whatnot is very similar to Patois and whatnot.
Mhm.
Um, but I didn't even really notice them. I'm just there, and then somebody's like, "Hey," and I look, and it's the same guy that I met like when I was on the bench. And we just had that random conversation. So we were just like, "Hey, like, what's up?" Like, just whatever, talking. And then there's another guy that's there, and so we're talking to English and whatnot. Everyone's kind of looking at us, but whatever. The black vibe and the connection. We're just doing our thing and whatnot. And then another guy starts talking to us, like he knows English too and everything like that. She's like, "Hey, crazy." So we just start having conversation, yada yada. Mention I'm from Canada. He says he spent some time in Canada. We talk different like cities and provinces and everything that he's been to. And then we just keep talking. I don't remember the exact order of things, but he started asking me some questions, and then he was like, "Oh, how old are you?" And then at that time, I think I'm like 21 or something, whatever. However old I am, I'm 20, let's say. I
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, that's great." It's like, I have a son. Like, he says he has two sons in Canada, but he's like, he has one son, like, that's the same age as me and everything. I'm like, "Oh, cool, yada, yada." Start talking more. Then I mentioned I'm in university. He mentions his son's in university and whatnot. And he's like, "Yeah, my son goes to university in Kitchener." Um, Obviously for the Canadian people, especially the people from like Laurier and UW whatnot, you'll know Kitchener is very close to where I go to university in Waterloo. And so I'm like, I pretty much I go to university there too, because I'm sure he just doesn't know the exact details. Kitchener and Waterloo are like side by side, like minutes apart type of thing or whatever. And then pretty much I'm starting to realize like, what, like who is this? This is insane. Like, he has a son that probably goes to a university right around me, whatever. He asked me my name, and I say Jamal, of course. And then he looks at me like his eyes change and everything like that. And he's like, "My son's name is Jamal." And Eben, I swear to God, I can't believe how I didn't realize it the whole time. I was speaking to like one of my good friends who has the same name as me, goes to the same university as me and everything like that. I'm speaking to his fucking dad in a random bank in Roatan. And I'm like, I know you're like, I'm friends, not just I know who he is or anything. Like, I'm
Like I
actually like I'm
friend like
friends like with your
friends.
son or whatever. And it was like a crazy, or like he was like crying and so happy. He was like, "Oh my God," like just
It's
freaking
just
out.
so
We're like walking now. We're just like on his hit now. We're just hanging out the whole time, still with my
yeah.
friend and everything. And like, we're like getting beers. He's getting me beers. I'm getting him beers. He's like telling everybody he knows, like on the street, like about the street. He's like, "This is my son's friend, this, that, the other."
That is
And it's
so
crazy.
weird.
It's crazy. Shout
Okay.
out to Jamal because he's definitely another super sociable, out there guy and whatnot. And honestly, the apple doesn't far from the tree because
Yes, his
his
dad was
dad's the
like,
same way, just walking down the street, just talking to everybody and knows everybody and whatever. Jamal's the same way and whatnot. And yeah, I was actually able to FaceTime Jamal. He was like working at a club at that time and like went on break and whatnot, and able to FaceTime his dad and whatnot. And it was just a crazy experience. And so remember, like, um, don't know what's going on, like just paid her fine like throughout this ordeal and whatnot. Don't have a hostel, don't have anything and whatnot.
mm-hmm.
Ends up being that Jamal's dad has like cousins or whatever. So end up going to like a hotel-ish type of thing. End up
Yeah.
being in his area, hanging out. We're going to the bar together. He's introducing me to everybody. I honestly felt like it was crazy because it felt like I was in Jamaica. Like the
Yeah.
personalities, the way people look, the way people talk, but also like the vibe. Like, we're going to certain spots, like eating chicken. You got the speaker playing on the side. Everyone's just vibing, and it was crazy. It
Yes.
was honestly crazy because it really felt like I was in Jamaica. But That's one of
Something
my
about that
craziest
melanin.
stories.
Hold on.
Pardon?
Something about that blackness.
Something
Like
about
I
it.
just
Something
black
about it.
people just be
Yeah.
amazing. I'm not saying
Yeah.
nobody else's, but I'm just saying it
Yeah.
just
No,
is
the
amazing. No,
energy hits
yeah, that,
different. The
that
energy and the
definitely
vibe
is
hits different.
amazing. Yes.
But
So y'all got on the plane? Did y'all get on the plane after that and had a
yeah,
place
so
to
what
stay?
was actually really sad, so now I'm like with my friend's dad on some crazy shit, but
Yeah.
was able to schedule another flight and it was for the next day, so it didn't even get to spend much time. I mean, we spent the
Yeah.
whole night. I got so drunk and like woke up a few hours later, rushed back to like catch
Yeah.
the plane and whatnot. But like that story, like what's so crazy about it was how many things needed to happen
For
for
y'all
that
to.
story to happen.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
even like one detail like I always talk about is like if I didn't have that conversation with that dude like on the bench and whatnot, we would have both been in the bank. He wouldn't have felt, or even if I talked to him a little harsh and just like annoyed or whatever, he wouldn't have
Yeah.
felt comfortable to be
To
like,
come.
hey, like what's up and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If we didn't spark a conversation speaking in English, which Jamal's dad knows English, and now it's just it's a curiosity thing and da 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 whatever. I could have been shoulder to shoulder with my friend's dad
And
and
never
never
known.
have known and never had that experience. Had to miss a couple flights for that to happen. Had to get the visa to be overstayed and whatnot. I
Yeah.
didn't even get caught. Like I was about to board my flight. I would have been gone. I would have been to Costa Rica, but my friend got stopped. And then I went to see the situation and help out. And then, you know what I mean? Even for instance, the bank, if the bank was where it was supposed to go,
Yeah,
that never
no. And if you
happens.
would have stayed at the first one.
And if I would have stayed at the first bank, it's
Yeah.
honestly one of those stories like I honestly
Serendipity.
chalk it up to
Yes.
God, like because it's just
Yes.
like it feels destined. It really felt
Yes.
preordained. Like, no,
Yes.
no, you're gonna meet your friend's dad there. There's no choice or
Yes.
anything like that, right? It's
And I'm
insane.
sure that if you would have went any other time, like made those flights, that maybe something not as good would have happened too. So I'm
Yeah,
grateful. I'm so grateful. Oh, that is awesome. That
yeah,
is
and
awesome. That's a cute story.
it's one of those things too because I was so, and I have a really tough skin for shit going wrong, but
Mhm.
at a
But
certain
that
point,
see,
I was pissed. I was just like, what's
yeah,
going on? And then I
especially when
ended
it's
up
with
having,
money. No
yeah,
offense. When
it's
it's
with
with money,
money
it's
and it's
like time, money, just ooh, child, that make me upset. Big man. Yes.
yeah, going down the drain and everything. But no, it was incredible. Like that night was one of the best nights I ever had. Like going to the pool bar, playing pool with so many guys, him introducing me so many people. Like it was amazing. And then it's just a powerful. It's
Mhm.
powerful. You know what I
It's a
mean?
powerful
So
story. It's a
yeah.
powerful. Oh, that is so nice. Oh, that is
Yeah.
so nice.
And so that's one of my things like when I talk to people like especially about, I always talking like my whole brand everything kind of revolves around this idea, but I always talk about like life's infinite ocean of unknowns and I always have like a very optimistic way of like saying like give the universe a chance to be good to you. Like I'm not even one of those super
Yes.
rah rah. I know sometimes I can come off super rah rah positive and whatnot, but it's just honestly I've had so many experiences with things like you honestly don't know where the world is gonna take you. You don't know how much your life can change. You don't know.
Yes.
We like to pretend like we know, but we really don't be knowing. So go out there, live a courageous life, be willing to have conversations with people even if you don't see what's the point. Be willing to try new things. Be
Yeah.
willing to go to places that like I didn't know anything about Central America when I went. I was supposed to go to South America. I don't know if I've even
Oh.
told you that,
No, I
but
didn't know that.
we were supposed to go to Colombia. Like that was always a plan to go through South America, whatnot. As I'm booking the flight to go to Colombia, I see a deal to Belize for like $120, like one way, and I was just like, "What?" I had to take
Yeah.
that. I didn't even know anything about. Oh, call it. I should have put on do not disturb. I didn't know anything about Belize. I didn't know anything about like Central America or anything like that at all. But took the gamble, said, "Hey, I'll figure it out," and had some crazy stories come out of it for sure.
That is dope. That is really dope. Yeah, $120
Hmm.
one way is nothing. Like
Hmm.
Canadian, that's nothing.
Canadian,
That's
nothing,
nothing.
nothing. Yeah.
That is nothing. That's awesome. And so, yeah, I think even though you should definitely, did you ever get to Colombia?
No, but I promise you, I'm like the amount of times people have talked about it. I've met people who've gone there. You've gone to Colombia too? Have you been there?
Cartagena is like my favorite.
Yeah.
You ever? so the intro to Beauty and the Beast, she dancing and singing and doing all this stuff in the beginning. I feel like when I'm walking the streets of Cartagena, I'm in a musical. Like I'm in a Disney
Yeah,
musical. It is like magical. The energy, the vibe, the passion of the people, the colors. It is just I don't know anything. I like warm weather too, so it's really hot and there's
yeah,
beaches and just I just love it. And then there's like a maroon community right outside of Cartagena where
mhm,
like the I think one of the oldest or first black people who escaped enslavement decided to build their own, and it's called Palenque. It is dope. You can
no
meet this
way, I
guy.
didn't know
It's
that.
so dope. Like the Afro-Colombian culture is everything. It influences, it permeates every part of Colombia. And so I just absolutely loved it. And so I definitely think that's actually a great place if someone is looking to travel maybe a little bit off the beaten path. And when you were talking, I was thinking that
Mhm.
we don't have sometimes the same reservation about European nations, for instance. People are very quick to go to somebody's Europe and do a backpacking study abroad, something like that, without
Yeah,
the same reservations. Now, mind you, Paris had its time of political unrest where its own people were protesting and tearing stuff up. And then
yeah,
not only that, many major cities in Europe were having multiple terrorist attacks before COVID-19. They was
mhm.
stadiums for Ariana Grande concerts were blown up.
Oh yeah,
Restaurant other things were
crazy,
happening all over
crazy.
because of just um a lot of reasons. I'm not even going to go into that. But the
Yeah,
way those things were portrayed versus at the same time, France was having its stuff going on, the warnings that were going on towards travel to Haiti, and how they were having also political unrest because the people were dissatisfied with the government. You should hear
hmm,
how the narratives are portrayed. And I'm just saying there is
hmm,
a method to the media's madness in the way that it communicates where you should go, what places are safe, what places are dangerous. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So when you think about things, I just want you, if you're thinking about backpacking or you're thinking about even traveling a little bit more, no one has to do 6 months somewhere. If you can't do
yeah,
that first, I think a 2 week trip, a 1 week trip is going to be good as getting your feet wet.
mhm.
But if you're thinking about where to go, I do think something happens in places where people don't have much as the West, and it transforms your life. I don't know how to explain it better than that. And I also would
Mhm.
say if you're
That's a
afraid
fact.
to going to a place that people don't have as much, be mindful that you've been indoctrinated to believe that some places are better to travel than others when they got their own crap too. Okay? That's
Exactly.
all I got to say. And
Exactly. No,
so,
those are good. Those are very good points, right? And there's definitely like Europe gets all the attention like for backpacking and whatnot. It's a very beaten path and whatnot. I haven't experienced it. I only have been to Iceland in Europe, but I'm sure like I've met so many people who've done it, and it
mhm,
100% is a great time and whatnot. But don't neglect the rest of the world. Like my roommate went to Southeast Asia. Like,
yes,
you know what I mean?
which is cheap and
Amazing,
beautiful.
cheap, so affordable. Like you're thinking
Mhm.
about backpacking anywhere, beautiful. And like I said, people are people everywhere. Like you're like, of course, there's rough areas and whatnot, and there is crime and all these sorts of things. But really, like one thing I really took away from backpacking, you know what I mean, and I feel everybody would when you have that sort of travel experience, is that
Mhm.
we have a whole lot more in common with each other as humans in general than we're often trained to think and believe.
Yeah.
Haiti's super dangerous and the people out there are just gonna be out to get you or this, that, the other. Everybody would love to meet new people, share a laugh,
Mhm.
smile. If people came out to Canada, I would love to show them Toronto and show them everybody wants to show off their pride of where they stay
Exactly.
and their beauty and
Yes.
whatnot. So be open to travel anywhere, honestly. You might really find
Yes.
some hidden gems, definitely a lot cheaper and whatnot. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And you brought up something that triggered something in my mind because I do want to say everyone is we have more in common than differences. And I want to say for people who
Hmm.
might not always have the opportunity to dream, do not have the luxury to think big. And I would say that's a lot sometimes for Black and Brown people. Sometimes the mindset is work hard, retire, and then you can live your life kind of.
Yeah.
And even as honestly even travel sometimes seems like, to be I'm gonna be straight, it seems like a white people luxury sometimes,
Yeah.
because it seems like you might have excess money, that group of people might have excess money. But I want to say for Black and Brown people, I think it's something that is so life changing that everyone deserves an opera. If you can figure out how to prioritize it in your life, it's worth the expense. It's worth the cost. And
Mhm.
that might mean shifting because I think there's some people who can have it all. They got enough money to have it all. They got enough
Yeah.
time to have it all. So they can buy their favorite things and go traveling. And so if it means that you have to prioritize travel over certain other things, to get that experience, I know it'll be well worth it and make the life that you live on an everyday level so much sweeter, so much richer, so much better. And one of the ways, like Jamal said, like one of the ways I really agree with you, like getting finding places that might be less expensive. So even if backpacking in Europe is popular, it might not be as cheap as Southeast Asia or other
Central
developing
America
nations.
is also very cheap. Yeah.
Central America is cheap as hell.
$4
Like
hostels.
exactly.
I be in the trenches. I ain't even gonna lie. When I'm backpacking,
You
ooh,
be in I
I
like a little bit of class in my
oh
hostels,
I
okay? I
oh
like a little bit of luxury.
I love the trenches, man. I
I
love the
love it. I love it.
trenches.
I'll pay a $2 more to get myself a free breakfast, or you might have free breakfast, excuse me. But in Central America, literally my room was like 12 or $11 every night. And when I say beautiful, beautiful, it was newly renovated in a colonial home. So it was just like
Mhm.
beautiful. Everything was fine. And they had all these like there are some you could do your research. There are hostels that have all of this like functionality to each room. So they'll have curtains on your bed, they'll have plugs and lights so that you can have your little own cubby in the bed versus like and I'm not saying other places, but the more modern ones have a lot of amenities. So you'll
Yeah.
feel very, very, very comfortable even though you're sharing a room with a bunch of people. And they'll have locked cabinets. So it'll be like nice. So you can save money for sure. The experience is worth it, especially if you're trying to figure out a way to do that and also you counting your coins. So
For sure. And one other point before I switch gears, because this is
mhm.
something I completely forgot to even mention.
Mhm.
Um, be willing to explore things off the internet. You will save
Yes.
so much money. Take the
Yes.
time. If you have a taxi driver, a local taxi driver, talk to him. Hey, do you know any
Mhm.
hostels?
Mhm.
Oh, I want to go to this volcano. When you use local networks, especially in those countries, things will go a lot further. First of all, people will write out for you more. People will be, because it's like that all the time. Like if
Yeah.
Abena says, "Hey Jamal, I got a friend coming to Toronto," da da da, I'm gonna show way more effort and attention to detail and be willing to go out the way than say if it was just my job and someone walked into the office.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
then also prices go down drastically when you move off the internet. Like Central America, there is some sort of constraint on like how much information is available on the internet and whatnot compared to say Europe. But even what's there, everything is inflated drastically. And if you
Yeah.
go buy internet stuff, they'll take the money no problem, right? Like that's
Yeah,
no
they'd be like,
problem.
"Oh, $70 for this excursion?" Sure.
Sure, no problem. Exactly, exactly. So go off the grid a little bit. Explore when you're traveling. Like
Yes.
honestly, my biggest resource was I like to talk to people. Like
That will go a
I'm at a
long way.
store, I'm at a bakery, I'm at wherever. Just having small conversations with people will make your trip more rich. You'll feel better.
Yes.
You'll be more sociable, but it also put you in better positions to have a good time and whatnot, and to
I
do it affordably.
That's dope. That's wise. That's wisdom right there. Oh,
I
that's wisdom.
appreciate it.
No, no, it's
Appreciate
serious, serious. You're no, and that's why I think your personality is such an asset. But anybody can do it, even if you're not as um gregarious or warm and welcoming as Jamal. Anybody can do it. You'd be surprised. Honestly, also because you're in some place different and don't nobody know you, you can be whoever you want to be. Nobody is
it.
holding you to the person that people expect you to be back at home. And so
True.
you'll have this liberty to even do things that are out of your comfort zone. So if you want to be the fun guy, the party animal, that's not normally what you are. You could turn into that when you're
Yeah.
traveling about again because you can more and then that's why I definitely that's why I think travel really helps you be your best self because
Mm.
even if you're not the type to go up to people in Toronto and say hello or in Philly like where I'm at and just start sparking up a conversation, something about this environment, especially if you find other people that are doing that, you pick up that habit. It really will change who you are. So I will
Seriously.
stop. I will stop. I mean, because let me just also say I'm a person who believes in therapy, reading books, personal development, all things. And travel is like warp speed of growth. Like, just you
Yeah.
had issues, go on a vacation, okay?
Seriously.
Backpack.
Seriously.
You had an issue, put yourself in a, just open your heart to have, like, to honestly have those things challenged. And I'm telling you, what you've been struggling with for 5 years, somehow 5 days or 5 weeks will, something will, like, you'll be a different person. That's all I got to say. I know I'm preaching to the
No,
choir, but I'm
no,
just
no, but
like, I'm
that's why
like,
you're here. That's why
it's
you're here.
it's where it's at. And I do have a confession. Would I
Uh-oh.
backpack again?
Wow.
Not the
You
way I was
wouldn't.
doing it before. No, because I got my taste is elevated too much. I
That's
went to, yeah, I just, my taste is elevated. I like spa tubs in my room. Okay. I love
wow.
my own private villas with a pool
Listen,
in the back.
everybody, this is a woman with a full mortgage. Okay, listen, for all us fellow broke university students, don't listen to this
Don't
right
listen to
now.
me. When I was 30, I could live that life. Now I'm 34 and I'm like,
You
mm-mm,
deserve it, boo. You deserve it. Live
ice
that.
me out. That's what I'm, guys,
Live that life. Live that life.
that's
My
what I'm
time is
like.
coming. My
Yeah,
time is
your time is coming. I just,
coming.
once I had a little bit of taste of it, I said, "Oh, I can't do it at all. I can't." I think the
yeah.
last time was in 2019. I did a hostel in Dominican Republic, and I was like, "I think I'm good on these after this. I'm good."
Yeah.
And it wasn't
Yeah.
even as nice as my nicest one. It was just, it was nice, but it was, I was like, "I'm good on these. I'm good." And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I was in a room with a man by myself, and it was just us two. And granted, he was a very nice man, but I just was freaked out a little bit
Yeah.
because it was just us two. And I just was like, I'm good on these. After that,
Yeah.
that's not a problem. That's not to say anybody else does not. Everybody
Of
should do
course.
those things. Those are great. But I
Mhm.
do have to admit that I do travel differently now, as a big, oh, because my paycheck allows me to. Let me just say that. My
Yeah.
paycheck,
Yeah.
and I also travel with other people too. Before, I was
Mhm.
committed to solo traveling, and hostels really do help with that. But now,
Mhm.
because I travel with other people, it really does. I'm if I'm sharing a villa with one other person, then instead of spending amount of a couple of $100s a night, then I'm
Ooh.
spending half of that. Okay, so,
Ooh.
but you
Yeah.
also, I know flight deals and I know hotel deals and I know how to travel off
Yeah.
season and do all the things. So I'm,
Oh, talk
yeah,
about all that stuff. I definitely got to be
yeah.
plugging that in. So Ebena does have deals on flights or whatnot. She definitely has a lot of stuff going
I
out
need
for
to,
you guys who are trying to be, price savvy and everything like that. Ebena makes it
yes,
easy. I'll definitely attach
yes.
a lot of her website information and Instagram and everything after all of this.
Cool,
So
cool
for
stuff.
sure.
Yes, yes.
One thing I also wanted to talk to you about too was like, which I found amazing. So I meet this woman, Abena, and whatnot. I think the first time met you, I think you were going to take pictures somewhere and whatnot, at like one of the chapels.
Mhm.
And so, whatever, we connect, see some of the stuff, see your Instagram. Wow, this is all amazing and whatnot. And then I come to the realization, or she tells me, or whatever, a lot of your content is using just an iPhone. And like,
Yes.
and you guys are going to see when you guys go to your Instagram, amazing content, amazing photos, amazing stuff. And like, I don't know, that was eye opening for me. Like, that was the first time I was really exposed to like, if you're determined, you can make some really magical things happen with just an iPhone. How did you get inspired to like, did you always know you could do all that stuff with an iPhone? Did
No.
you just like talk about that process for you, like discovering that?
I do think that this is me taking a compliment and turning it into something else, but I would say that I do have room for growth. Let me just say that, and I
Yeah,
do, but
yeah.
I definitely appreciate the compliment. I would say that photography gives you an opportunity to see beauty everywhere. It just helps you to have a perspective to see what is beautiful, and I really like doing that. And so, first, it just started off more like a hobby, and then because I do love traveling, like, I used to, when I was very, very religious, I used to want to go and be a missionary. Okay. So it's not like traveling has been foreign to me. It's always been something that I wanted to add in my life some way, somehow. And then photography just seemed like a great way to capture those moments. However, I wanted it to be like, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And the way that anybody can do it is on a phone. And so it really became somewhat part of my brand that like all you need is a tripod and a cell phone and you can do this yourself. Like even wrote a like photography guide to be able to do something like this. So
Amazing.
I think there gets to a certain point where photo quality and what you can do on an iPhone is limited a little bit. Video, let's say, depending on what phone you have, video quality and how a platform like Instagram compresses it. But outside of that, the angles, the perspectives, there's waterproof bag or like encasing for phones. There's all types of things that you can do with a cell phone that doesn't make will allow you to capture the moments that you have when traveling. And so and you can do it by yourself because me and my tripod are like this, okay.
I'm
You could
telling you,
just
if
call
you
me
guys,
Dora the Explorer. That's
I,
what I think this is giving me, Dora vibes. Okay.
now you're switching from the Velma now.
No Velma, Dora, this is giving me Dora the Explorer. So me and my trusty backpack and tripod just
Yeah.
be killing it. Yes, and cell phone. So yes.
No, that's awesome. I'll definitely share some of the content as well. Like one of my probably my favorite picture, except for the one I took of you, which I'm definitely listen for all of you guys who've known me before and known how uncreative I used to be. Listen, I developed some things. I developed some things while I was
Yeah.
traveling. I got into
Yes,
photography when I was traveling.
yes, yes. He's a
So my
photographer.
now I'll take the title now. I'll take the title now. My second favorite photo of you ever was I don't know how to pronounce it. It was that hole in Mexico. What is it?
Say you to sue you tune,
Suit
sue you tune or something like that.
Soon Soon
Something
Tune something.
say tune or something like
I'm
that. It's a
I'm gonna type it
cenote.
out.
It's a
Yeah.
cenote in Mexico actually that I drove by last week.
Really? That's crazy.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
went back
well, we
there.
were going to
Yeah.
try to go, but actually we ran out of time. We were supposed to make a yacht trip in closer to Tulum, and we were all the way at Chichen Itza, and we didn't have time. But it's on the path, so if you ever want to go, anybody, it's beautiful. Just go early. And the only thing about it now, well, he'll probably insert the picture somewhere. But the
Yeah,
only thing
for
about
sure.
it now is that I had the privilege of being there for like 45 minutes by myself, which was breathtaking and spiritual and heavenly. But now the water level, because of COVID-19 and the lack of maintenance that occurred, the water level is much higher, so it covers that platform. So it's not as
No.
magical as it was. But when I
Yeah.
tell you it was a moment, hopefully one day they like repair things or are able to drain it somehow. I'm not sure what
Yeah,
happens,
because
but yeah, you can
if you,
look it now as I forget what it's called, Tune or something like that. But when
yeah,
you look it up, the geolocation or the geotag in Instagram, you'll see a lot of people standing in the water on the platform, which
it's
it
not
ain't
like
it.
Abena's photo honestly felt like God was calling back one of his angels. And like she was like honestly when you guys see the picture, you guys are gonna know what I'm talking about. And like I remember you telling me like how you took that and whatnot and like being by yourself and using
Yeah.
like this is not a photo that should be done with one like I don't know how she managed to pull it off at such a high level. It's amazing. So for anyone out there who wants to get into photography and whatnot, like believe me, there's real people out here who are doing amazing things with just an iPhone and whatnot. Just go out there and get it. Honestly, that's like my whole match. Honestly,
Yeah.
just go out and get it, regardless of what you have, what you
Yes.
don't.
Yes, and I would just say another thing is that the more I practice, the better I get. I realize that even now, my photography will fail, and I'm trying to do different things. I used to be moving towards more of like this. I'm a, for lack of a better term, I was trying to be more of like the white woman model of travel bloggers, looking
Mm.
backward, head on hand, hat, wind blowing
Yeah,
long dress,
yeah.
iconic building, landmass, geography in front of you. That was my thing. And
Mm.
so I've moved more towards like a, I don't know, this me type of photography, especially with COVID-19. I didn't have a lot of places that I was going. But what I would do, what I would argue is that practicing, even if you practice at home, practicing is really going to help to improve your craft. Because if you wait between trips to learn how to take photos, you're just not going to. get the photos you want. It's going to take you a longer time to get the perspectives. You just need to practice what you're looking for and how to become comfortable with your phone and taking pictures with it, especially on a tripod.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And kind of going into something else, like,
Hmm.
so, like, obviously, like, so you have all this content and whatnot, it's on your Instagram. And one thing that I love about how, I mean, even just from your at name, like, beautifully flawed one, like, you
Hmm.
carry such a conscious effort to be super authentic and honest and like vulnerable. And like, even I remember like some like photos, you're literally showing your editing process of the photos and showing this is not like how it is. I took this and this. And
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
from a creative side, it's super inspiring because you know you're kind of showing people how you can make incredible things happen. But then even just like a humanity side, like it's amazing that you have this platform. Like you know, like you're an influencer, you got a following and whatnot, very engaged community, but you're bringing out like your authentic self with all your blessings and all your flaws and everything like that. Like what inspired you to bring such authentic edge to yourself, like and be bold like that on the internet? It's not easy, right? Like it's not easy to just expose yourself like that. Like what's inspired you?
I would say that if I'm going to show up online and this is going to take some time out of my existence, Instagram does take some time. I am trying to move towards monetizing more so that my time is compensated, okay?
Yeah,
But and it's not there yet, but I do know the investment that I'm putting into Instagram. I don't know if I can have a level of duplicity or have one life on the gram and one life in person. I do think that I could be even more present online. I just know for my own peace of mind, I can't do it. Like, I don't post when I'm on vacation because unless I'm on like a backpacking thing, it just can't allow me to be as authentic on trips. So basically, what moves me to be that way is that I basically can't live any other way. Additionally, this
yeah,
is an investment, and I think I would go crazy if I portrayed an image that wasn't true to who I am. Also, I do think that there is something about a person choosing to be as liberated as possible that gives other people the permission to be liberated. And
I
all I
love
want,
that.
especially for Black women, like I am here for Black women in particular, dark skinned Black women living their best life.
100.
I thrive when I see people who look like me, who are sometimes told that they should minimize themselves or shrink or not take up as much space doing the damn thing. That's what I love seeing. And so we love to
Uh,
see it. And so
Shout out all the dark skinned queens out there. Honestly, like we need to take a moment to really shout them out. Seriously, I love that. I love that.
so with that being said, I just want to continue to be like, for me, my goal is to be a representation. And that's the beauty of social media because it gives you access to people that you don't need mainstream media's uh, approval to get access to those people that might relate closer to you. So when I'm authentic, I feel like I'm being the person that I needed when I was 5 or 6 or 7 or 12 or like 13 or 15 or whatever or 20 or the
Now,
person I needed last week.
yeah,
So I think
yeah.
all of the transparency does help me to be myself and live fully because I kind of see my Instagram as like less now, but maybe I'm going to move back towards that, like bring it full circle. But before it used to really be a diary for me. That's what I felt like it
Mhm.
was. A public diary, granted, but a diary nonetheless. And now I think, and I think that is therapeutic for me, but then also someone again living authentically, regardless of your background, but for people who look like me, who might relate to me even more, I think it gives them permission to be free in themselves as well.
And I love that, and like that resonates strongly with me because that's definitely something like as I'm starting all of this and going about my blog and going about these videos, that's something like I'm trying to bring to the light as well. Like I love that idea of like giving other people the permission to like
Hmm.
be themselves, live their lives
Hmm.
and stuff like that. Like one of my
Yes.
biggest things, like I'm sure people who are exposed to my material and everything like that, I always support people for like trying new things that you suck at and like enduring
Yes.
the process of sucking at it and trying to get better and
Yes.
everything like that. Like, And so a lot of my stuff goes hand in hand with like being authentic, being raw. Even like what I'm trying to do here, just being very just raw and authentic and honest, and
Period.
bringing everything out. Honestly, I think that's the way forward for society now, like on a bigger scale. It's what connects with people more, what resonates with people more. But it's like, I think a lot of our growth and our progress as a species is really held back by our old archaic ways of not being vulnerable, not being
Yes.
authentic, not being honest, and like building all these systems that reward dishonesty, reward being inauthentic, reward all these things. Like, I think we got to change all these pillars and like really put society in a position where, okay, we can all be ourselves and grow,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. That's everything. I also appreciate your optimism. So I love it. I love it. I think that's no, I think that's real. I think that's real. I think that will I don't know if you hear my dog making this noise. I'm sorry.
Oh, you all good.
Stop. Stop. Why
You
would
gotta,
he
you
come?
gotta, you gotta show your dog to the camera. Is it a boy or girl?
It's a boy. Oh my God. He's an old
You,
grandpa. Hold on one
you gotta
second.
introduce his old ass.
Okay, let him not stop doing this thing. So he's a grandpa. This is my little chihuahua.
you, you would have a chihuahua.
He's a grandpa and it's my
He's
chihuahua
cute
and
as
I
hell.
and he's like so old and he's like, why are you doing this to
He's
me,
like,
lady? Yeah,
you
like
leave me alone all the time. What's going on about
I know,
today?
I know. So the out my face, my parents normally my mom in particular and my niece and my nephew are the ones who watch him when um oh, to
Exploring the
fall out
world.
my hands. Bye. But he comes in here and he's like coughing. Who does that? He's minding his own business, but when he comes in here, he decides to
Yeah,
make all this background noise. Okay, sorry about
yeah.
that, the
You should do
interruption.
your background vocals. Come
I
on now.
know, I
Now you
know.
needed a hand.
I'm like, come on. So that's my little man, and that's all like him and I. We live here, and it's great because I travel during COVID-19, and so then I can like isolate when I come home, and it's great because it's just
And you got your little homie.
yeah, yeah.
You want to talk about it a little bit? So, like, what's that like? Like, you traveling throughout COVID? Because, so for me, like, I had plans. I had a co-op job, this summer,
Yeah.
ended August 21st, and I had planned, like, I'd reached out to a friend. I was supposed to go to Africa for the first time and go to Nigeria, and fortunately, never happened because of COVID and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then, so I was thinking, okay, you know what? I'm going to finish this school year and whatnot. So I'll be done at the end of April, graduating and everything. And I'm
Congrats.
hoping to travel, but COVID is still very much a very real thing and whatnot. So, like, how, like, what was your experience like being in Mexico? Like, were you able to live your life? Did you feel the presence of COVID while you were there?
So my background also is in healthcare. I'm a nurse. I do work in health
Mm-hmm.
tech. So it is a little bit different than bedside nursing. And so I don't think I have a cousin who is a physician who works in the UK on the front lines. And she has a very different perspective than I do about travel and all those things. She actually encouraged me to stay home. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to say that my perspective is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say for people who might travel shame, people's livelihoods depend on travel. A large portion of GDP is dependent on travel. And
Yep.
so I'm not trying to say that it makes an excuse for people to do so irresponsibly, but I do think that at a certain point, a government or people have to decide either COVID-19 itself, the virus is going to kill us, or the lack of revenue as a result of shutting down our economy is going to kill us. And I am not, this sounds real pro Trump, right? And I'm not, please, please forgive
Yeah.
me. I think America does have the luxury to do different things. Certain
Mm-hmm.
certain other nations maybe don't have the
Don't
luxury
have
to
that.
shut their countries down from tourism when like 20%. Like I went to Tanzania, 20%, close to 20%, 17 or 18% of their GDP is based off of tourism. You can't
Mm-hmm.
take nearly one-fifth of your economy and just it not exist and think that people are going to survive. That's hard. So
Yeah.
anyway, I just want to preface all of that with that.
Yeah.
When it's COVID-19 in Mexico, actually Mexico was one of the places I did not want to go to. Too many people were going, and I thought that that was actually not a safe move. So let me
Oh.
just tell you that. I only went because I don't like traveling alone anymore, and my good girlfriends were all going for New Year's Eve, and I was like, well, damn. Guess I'm going to Mexico. And so
Yeah.
I made it work. It was great. It was a great time. And these are some of the reasons why I didn't want to go to Mexico. Mexico does not require testing, even though
Really?
testing is only good for the moment in which you get
You get
tested. So at that
tested,
point
which yeah.
that you get tested, you do not have COVID-19. But after you leave the building, you can get
Okay,
COVID-19,
yeah.
which makes that test null and void. But anyway, they don't require any testing. They don't really have much of a screening process at the airport. I don't remember any real screening process. They might have asked me a question and I might have got a temperature check. Maybe.
Wow.
Don't remember. But it wasn't anything really. And then there are in the like tourism corridor, I guess, which is like the Riviera Maya, I believe that's what it's called, Cancun, all like down to Tulum or other places in the Yucatan. Basically, there's tons of tourists and it's crowded, especially during New Year's. So
Mm.
I wish I took a video of this street party that I was at. And at a certain point, I was like, I can't do this, y'all, no more. I'm a little scared. I'm just scared. There's too
Yeah.
many people. So no, people were like this. It was like almost normal. Okay,
Mexico is not feeling it,
Mexico, and to be
or at
honest
least
with
the
you,
that area.
let
Mm-mm.
me just say Mexico is doing what it needs to do, and I'm sure that
Yeah.
certain places, um, all the waiters, hospitality staff wear masks.
Hmm.
Um, but I remember being at this place, I forget what it's called, Taboo in Tulum. It's very popular, like restaurant for dining. You the people was the masks that the people were wearing were like kind of clear face guard things. It's loud there, so you talking close to the waiter.
Yeah.
It's like if you have fears, I think you can travel in a way. Let me just say that. I think you can travel in a way where you're doing so responsibly. So you can get tested beforehand, try to isolate beforehand so that your test is actually accurate. When you take your trip, you can do protective measures like, for instance, socially distance at the airport, wipe down high touch surfaces, put a plastic kind of cover over your passport because TSA does take that, or excuse me, the security people take that. I don't know what y'all got in the Canada. They take
Hmm.
that and then you can wipe that down. Get a bin liner if you're really cautious. Wipe down your seats when you get into the airplane, and get like a I-95 mask if you need that. So, or even just a surgical mask. Let me
Got
not
the whole
recommend things.
protocol
Yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah. You could do all that. You could do all that.
Yeah.
Then when you actually get on vacation, I wrote like a little newsletter about this. That's why I know that when you get on
Okay.
vacation, you can choose to go to places that are implementing COVID-19 policies like masks, frequent testing, maybe for the personnel that work there, as well as lower capacity so that you feel like you're having a socially distanced trip, or do things private.
Hmm.
I would say that if you're going to a place where they test, it's not saying that the people don't have it, but like a place like Jamaica is doing a really good job. And it's not fail proof, it's not perfect. Their numbers are increasing since they had the country reopen to tourism. But what they doing is tracking it's just it's phenomenal. I would recommend anybody go to Jamaica if they're thinking about a place in their little
Big up, big
scary
up, big up, big
yes,
up, big up, big up.
the
Boom, boom, boom,
system
boom, boom.
the system that they have in place is far better, 20 times better than what America, whatever mess that we're cobbling together. That's why we
Yeah.
have issues.
Yeah.
In Mexico, I would say that even though it doesn't have a large, so they don't have a large number of deaths, but they are third largest in the world in the number of deaths. So it is like, I want to say it's like 100,000 or something. I looked it up a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
So it is a lot, but it's not, I mean, it's nowhere close to Brazil and the United States, who are
States,
like
yeah.
leading. And so, but I'm going to Brazil. So I'm just to be
Wow.
honest, I'm going to go to Brazil
Yeah.
for my birthday.
Yeah.
Sis found a flight deal. I go to Black Nations, and so all I'm trying to say is, if you have, I think traveling when you find it safe is what is best for you. But then figuring out a strategy, because traveling is different. It has evolved since COVID-19 has come into place. There's
Hmm.
strategies with that, and other people want to make sure that they have flexible flight scheduling so that you can cancel or postpone if need be. That's
Hmm.
always a good thing to have available, and many airlines are doing that. But just check and try to book with the airline itself and not a third party, because sometimes that gets lost in translation. But outside of that, and ways to keep yourself safe, You can just do the distancing stuff. I know that what makes my vacations is connection with people. People make a
Yeah.
place. And so if you feel like you won't feel comfortable connecting with the people, even staying 6 feet apart from them, then maybe traveling for you also is not the best idea right now. But if you
Mhm.
just want to get away on the beach, I know Canada is like cold. And you
Yeah.
might just want to be in somebody Caribbean blue water. And you might just say, all I need is a cabana and the ocean, and I don't need nobody else. Then that could be a trip for you. Some people want to interact with people. So it all depends on what you're looking for and the level of comfort that you have with COVID-19. A place like Mexico, for someone who is scary with the COVID,
Don't go.
I mean,
Honestly,
I wouldn't recommend it per se because it's like
yeah.
normal per se. But
Yeah.
I went to Tanzania, and I'm sorry I'm talking so much, but I went
Oh,
to
yeah.
Zanzibar. People say Tanzania, people say Tanzania, whatever. But I went to Zanzibar. They don't believe that COVID-19 can survive there, and at large, most people say that. And there's a number of different reasons why I would probably say go to an African nation because of different comorbidities, a lower so people don't have the same chronic illnesses as America, a lower average age, so people are not as old, a largely outdoor society, and just different lifestyle in general. People eat differently,
Mhm.
which might contribute to why COVID-19 did not take root and kill as many people as it did in other places. But specifically, that research was found in Kenya in particular because there was a large population with people who had the antibodies for COVID-19, but people wasn't sick. Like
Yeah.
so not the same death rates that they were having at Paris with the same amount of antibodies in the population or the same prevalence of the disease in the population.
Hmm.
Y'all ain't asked for all of that. I'm just saying so there's some legitimacy to like certain African nations being like, it's not just that they're not counting. It literally is that people are not dying, which is
Yeah.
great. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
And so when I went to Tanzania, same attitude. People wore masks in restaurants and stores and things like that, but for the most part, it was normal. But I wasn't scared at
Yeah.
all. I didn't have the same reservations that I did in Mexico because I was like, it's too many foreigners here. It's too much of y'all in here. And they wasn't test.
Yeah.
And Tanzania doesn't even test either. They basically
Wow.
said, we survived Ebola, we survived swine flu.
Shit.
We're not taking money from the IMF and we're not closing down our borders. We're going to make it work. And they
Yeah.
did. They said a little
Yeah.
prayer. The president said a prayer
Yeah.
and they said, we're going to make it work. And they never really closed down. And the
You
world
can't
looks at them.
argue with that kind of resume though, too. Like,
Exactly.
like any other country that has judgment, listen, they've gone through some
We
serious
said
viral
Ebola.
outbreaks.
We did Ebola. So period.
Yeah. And the world turned their backs and they're still here. So,
Yeah. So I just had to say, with all of the COVID-19 conversations, I would say do what is best for you, boo. Stay
yeah.
informed. There's a lot of people. I'm even writing a little book on how to travel. Through
Yeah.
COVID-19 for your trips during the pandemic or post-pandemic, whatever you want. And so it'll have a lot more details than that. But I'm just trying to shameless plug, just trying to help you to understand that there is ways to do it in a way that you
Mhm.
feel safe, but definitely, yeah, that was long.
That's awesome. So I feel like we should end with one more topic, one that's
Okay.
huge, and definitely
Yeah.
feel free to talk. Like, let the people hear your voice. Let them hear you. This is your chance, right? So
Yes.
obviously, like, I know about this stuff and whatnot. Like, I know that you had gone back home, visited, had a whole experience there, and I
Yeah.
don't know if it was before or was it going back home that inspired you to, you call it traveling, diaspora and whatnot. Like, just freestyle on all of that.
So y'all, I don't know if you could tell, but I'm a black woman. And I used to like have a really warped perception of myself. And I can say that I think it started when I went to Haiti. So I was traveling, and traveling does whet your palate or whet your appetite for more, for just more in life in general. And so it changed the way that I saw the world, and it started to change the way that I saw myself, especially being a woman who is like literally an African American, a child of immigrants from Ghana in America. America is not the kindest place to black people, and y'all might have seen evidence of that this past year with all the stuff well, in 2020, with all the stuff that was going on regarding to race. And so I just would say that our society shaped who I was, and I didn't like who I was. It was an anti-black individual, actually. And so as I began to travel, it began to change my mindset about how I saw myself and how I saw other people. And that's how I can appreciate the beauty and the flaws of everything. So that's where my handle comes from. And so more and more I started to visit black places in particular. And why I didn't put them at the top of my bucket list. One, for Ghana, where my family is from, I had been there already and I wanted to see new places. But then for other places, I often felt like I got a lot of publicity or media, like even on social media, the places that people were going to were Southeast Asia, Europe, Central America. I didn't see as many. Maybe if they were going to Africa, they were going to like Egypt or South Africa or Morocco.
Morocco. Yeah, those are
It's like,
usually the yeah.
like three, four, five places that are popular on the continent, but outside of that, it's not. And there's some reasons why, but I do think that there is so much power. Like when I went to Mexico and I went to that cenote that he thinks is one of my favorite his favorite pictures of mine, I found it on social media. The power of influencers or people who travel to a place to inspire someone else to go there is that's why people are paying these influencers thousands of dollars to do what they do, because it is unmatched. This marketing, this organic form of marketing is phenomenal. So anyway, I have a revelation that I want to that traveling in general is helping me find myself. But then something happens when I go to black places. Mind you, I do want to say that I did spend about like 2 or 3 weeks in Europe. And it was cold and it was white and I didn't have a good time, okay? I had some good time, but it wasn't a really great time. And then I realized, and then I did Central America after that, and I really, really enjoy places where people have found value in things that are maybe not money. And I know that everybody would like money. It's a our world is capitalistic, and I know that people need money, but there is something intangible or something that is priceless about the way that people live and interact with people when maybe they don't have as much. And the same warmth I don't get when I am in Western nations. So anyway, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but so having those experiences in Central America and then starting to, and Central America does have a large portion of the diaspora. I think Belize has a large Garifuna
Yep.
population. So does Honduras. Those are places people who are black or have heritage from the continent of Africa. And
Lima,
so
Costa Rica too.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes. And
yeah.
so with all that being said, I'm like, okay, these are the places that I want to go to. These are the places I feel most at home. These are the places that are having a lot more self-discovery. And so I've been dying to go to Haiti for a very long time after reading about its revolutionary history. Haiti decided that they wasn't going to be slaves to nobody. And in like by 18, I want to say 1804, they liberated themselves. They fought the French, the British, and the Spanish and liberated themselves. But by basically saying, because I don't know if y'all know this, but Killmonger is my fave. Um, Killmonger in Black Panther was like, I'd rather die free, essentially. Like I'd rather,
Yeah.
if I'm going to live, then I want to be free. Otherwise, you can kill me. All right.
Yeah.
Like I'm not
It's
trying,
powerful.
and that is the way that Haitians thought. So that's why I rock with Haiti and I love
Yeah.
Haitians. And so I was always wanting to go there. And when I say the powerful experience that I had in Haiti made all of the, so what I experienced maybe backpacking in Central America over 2 months, which was a short time, but because of all of the assumptions people have about Haiti and how it disproved them for me, and then also the cultural connection, when I went there only for about 10 days, I was doing all these things that was pushing my limits, and it just challenged me so much. It's something broke. I don't understand it. I can't put my finger on it, but when it comes to my identity and self-worth, something happened to me, and I'm like, what would happen if I go to more black places, basically? And so I started to take that like hypothesis that if you travel to black places as a black person, something changes you. I took that idea or that concept, and then I started to go to black places. And what another reservation that I had was at the cost, like tickets to Central America or certain places. And in Central America does have some, like I said, places in the diaspora, but um uh certain places just have cheaper tickets. I went to Belgium for 250 round trip.
Wow.
Like like you can make it work. Like I went to Malaysia for $400 round trip. So like there are some places that have cheap flights, and I was having a hard time finding cheap flights to the continent as well. But that was partially because I wasn't looking for it. So anyway, I said it's going to be worth it to go to less places and have these experiences if that means I get to go to black places. And so then I saved my little coins together, found a ticket to Ghana for like 697, which is cheap from US, East Coast. And then I spent a month and a little change there and loved it. And then I just started positioning myself so I could go to other black places. And every single time, I would say, I say this before in this little conversation or dialogue, but it really is a cheat code to self-love. I start to see black people differently. Because I grew up in America completely. I also start to see what it's like to not live in a place where your blackness defines you, and that blackness has
Woo.
negativity associated with it. People just be like
That's a
existing. Like
bar.
people exist, they just exist.
Mm.
Granted, my life is changing as I move forward because I'm also seeing the disparities of who holds the wealth in places that were occupied by white people, who where white people colonized. And it is bothering me, it's upsetting me and my homegirls that
Mhm.
white people tend to still hold most of the wealth, and the people that are indigenous to those places, and that's
Yeah,
everywhere,
that's
that they
everywhere.
don't hold
Seriously.
the
Yeah.
mechanisms of generating wealth for
What?
capital from themselves.
Yeah.
They work for other people that are white or foreigners. And so that's upsetting me and my homegirls, and we're gonna work on that somehow, some way.
Hmm.
But still, the first part just saw that these people still had this sense of like identity, worth outside of money. And I know that that matters to some degree, but doesn't matter. But just who they were and how their culture was, it just wasn't like I'm black and oppressed as a result of this. That
Hmm.
happens, but it's just not predominantly like part of their psyche. And there's people in America who say I'm not a victim and all these things. But America's system is built on oppression and white supremacy, and you can't escape it even if you choose to have a lot of positive thinking about it. Like, you can
Hmm.
choose how you react to it and you can navigate through it, but you can't act like it don't exist and
The
it's not
systemic
oppressing some people.
barriers
Yeah,
are,
yeah.
yeah, the
It's
systemic
not hurting
barriers are
people.
there.
Like, it's
Yeah.
not hurting people. And honestly, all I'm trying to say is that my heart is now to set people up in a position where I make it easier for them to get to black places. So black people primarily to get to black
Okay.
places. And that's why I want to work on flight deals and education surrounding that. Um, but our biggest barrier is our mind. And honestly, the biggest weapon of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. And so what I think is that sometimes showing people the lifestyle is powerful enough, but then also helping to educate people. And some of that doesn't come through like a single post, but it can, because people do need to see how dope, how amazing these black countries are. And also have options. That's all I'm going to say about that. Have options about where you want to live and exist. If anybody ever
I
considers
love
living
that.
elsewhere, I would say don't sleep on the African diaspora. Do not sleep on black places because you'd be surprised. You probably
Yeah.
find yourself at home and wouldn't know that. So that was a lot, but all I'm trying to say is
I
like,
love that.
yeah, yeah, being black, you're being a black person has its challenges. And I think the way you like decode the matrix kind of is by one of the ways is reading, changing the way you think. But the way that you think has changed to a number of different things, like reading, following amazing thought leaders, interacting with like-minded people, and travel. I would put travel in that. I say read a book, go on a vacation. And
Nation, yeah.
I would put them on the comparable levels because it will do something that you cannot categorize. I can't even explain it. but it'll do
Mhm.
something to you if your heart is open and if you go with the perspective that my life is going to change. So
Mhm. No,
that's it.
I love all that, and I love that you're preaching traveling to like black countries and whatnot, because that's something that you don't really hear often about, and like even from black people, like for us, like more times, I'm sure you can relate to it too. Like we're normally thinking about, okay, well, I already go to said country because that's home. Like it's not even, we don't even look at it with the same opportunity or marvel that we
Yeah.
look at, okay, I could be going to like Belgium, or I can go to Brazil, or whatever the case may be. So like it's just honestly another way of like learning. Like I think for black people as a whole, we need to, and we're in the process of it, of learning how to celebrate ourselves and celebrate our culture and celebrate our blackness and whatnot. And so I think that's part of the shift, especially thinking about like black Canadians and black Americans. How
Yeah.
can we look at some of these countries of the diaspora with the same marvel and the same curiosity and the same interest, or if not more interest, than we look
Mhm.
at essentially the rest of the world. So I love all of that. I love
And
that.
you know, one thing I forgot to mention. Honestly, I believe in group economics, and I do
Woo,
think
that's my
that
shit. That's my shit.
black people spending money with black people is revolutionary. Black people in
Yes.
America, I think, is like multi-billion. This travel dollars they spend is multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yep.
And so if you channel that to other black people, you are definitely helping people who look like you prosper. And so if you're going to spend the money anyway, why not spend it with other black people? I think it's powerful. I think it's important, and I think it's revolutionary. And I do think, again, that we've been convinced that other places are better to go to. Like you haven't been on vacation unless you've been to Mykonos. Like, but that ain't the case because
Yeah.
there's beautiful sights to see. And I'm not hating on those places. I'm just saying there is something about us sometimes that believe that like the white man's ice is colder and that we should spend money with white people. And it's not that there is anything wrong with that, but when we have like sometime an inherent disdain for our own, that's problematic. it
That's
is not it
inbred
is not
into us. That's
Yes,
generally
exactly.
something
Hmm.
like black people we tend to have across the board. Like whether we like to admit it or not, like we actually have reservations about giving our dollars back to our own community, which I'm pretty like every like cause I like group economics. Like I love this, and I honestly believe
Yeah.
that economics is the key to our liberation. That's the
Yes.
only way we can only do it for ourselves through our own actions and whatnot. But every other race seems to have a better sense of group economics than we do, whether it was natural or conscious effort or whatnot. And I really think like that's the next key to our chapter, like to move forward
Hmm.
for us, is really getting a grasp on that and
Yeah.
whatnot.
And I'm not, let me just be honest with you. If you look at the world, I think COVID and capitalism sucks. COVID has showed us how capitalism does not work for every person. However, capitalism ain't going nowhere no time soon. So
Yeah,
group economics is the way. Like our power is in our ability to leverage our money because yeah, we do have that is the thing that we have that will talk for us because you cannot depend on the moral conscious. Basically, if you
nobody wants
expect.
to let go of their advantages. Let's just keep it like
Exactly.
that.
If
It's inherently.
you cannot expect systems that oppress you to liberate you from your oppression. You cannot. Like
Yeah,
all you can get is more comfortable change. That's it. And I think when you
yeah,
depend on the systems to work for your behavior, it's the ones that put you here.
yeah.
Make it make sense.
Make
So
it make sense for real.
your dollars are going, or your yeah, dollars. Canadians have dollars too, but you know, like your money, your coin is going to be able, especially if we use it together, as well as our voting power. But you know, that's another thing. I'm not the biggest advocate for voting. I'm about buying politicians, just like all the other wealthy groups do. They buy
Yeah,
politicians.
yeah.
Anyway, I digress. All I'm trying to say is that we can unify in various ways, and small choices that we make really help to raise the tide for all of Black people. And that can be even with traveling. So, granted, you know, you're not going to change the world of somebody by spending $2,000 in their country. However, going to a black place will switch your paradigm and will change how you operate in the world. And therefore, those decisions collectively, or even as over the course of your lifetime, are really going to be powerful. And so it changes you as a person. And I just think is invaluable. And so granted, a little bit of money here and there, y'all might not think it's nothing. It does make a difference a little bit, but like all of us making those decisions and then who we become as a result, like
Mhm.
change the way you think and you'll never be the same again. Like that's a Stephen Biko quote. Like it is like, it is
Fact.
like it's
Fact.
facts. So I'm just saying like the power of the individual, and this is for anybody, but I know black people, I'm black, that's it's for anybody. Your mind is where your seat of power is. If you can think differently, you can have a different life. And it's not it's not impossible for us. We don't need to follow what people tell us our lives should be like, whether that is like chasing a lot of material possessions. And I'm not hating on material possessions, but I know that they ultimately are not going to add the value that I think most of us want in our lives. And so, or just
Mhm.
working very hard and retiring, that doesn't still add the value or add the fulfillment that I think most of us want in our lives. So, anyway, on
Mhm.
my soapbox. That's me.
I love that. I love that. Honestly, thank you so much for all of this time. Like, this has been an awesome conversation, and like you being a part of my first podcast segment ever. Like, this is awesome.
Yes.
This is awesome. I'm just excited to like take things further and whatnot. I'm definitely excited to be able to bring all of this out into the world and allow people to see it, hear from it, learn from it. I definitely hope that people are inspired to travel the diaspora from this. I think that's one very key thing to take away from this, and it's something I've
Yes.
been itching to do for these past few years. I've been trying my best to find an opportunity, especially to go to Africa and whatnot. And soon, latest by the time I graduate, it's gonna happen and whatnot.
Fingers
So
crossed, fingers crossed. I think there's a
yeah,
lot of great countries to be in, and some of my favorites, not that I've been to only, but the simplest ones to go to. I think Kenya is great to go to. I think Tanzania,
huge on the
if
list.
you would love Zanzibar, you would absolutely
I
love
love it,
Zanzibar.
eh?
You would love Zanzibar. You would love Zanzibar. For a vibe, for a whole vibe. Ghana is where it's at. I can't hate on Ghana. It's also very safe. It's super safe and
Yeah,
it's a whole vibe. Ghana's a
I,
vibe. And people do that in around New Year's, Christmas. Ducky was there. Okay, Ducky Thought, who's a model. She was living the
yeah.
best life. People was my friends was with her. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to say,
Berna was there. Like one of my
yeah,
boys was in Ghana, and Berna boy was there and everything like that. Like
yes. It's
Ghana
just like
looks like I've been inspired enough. Like I'm ready to go see Ghana for real.
Ghana is Ghana's a vibe. Ghana's a vibe.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of my country. I think it is an amazing vibe. And also a lot of Jamaicans believe that they've come from either Ghana or Benin or Togo. Like that's like this area. So, we
Mhm.
fam. So you will
Yeah,
find your
seriously.
cousins in Ghana too. So
Yeah,
you would
for
like it.
real.
Ghana's a good one. I think South Africa's a good one. People do say that it's very Western and certain places have a vibe that is still tense with racial
Racial.
differences.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's still racial tension in certain places.
Beautiful country. Like I definitely want to get out there, but
Hmm.
in terms of a lot of the stuff that have going on and like a lot of the economic systems is very clear. Like in South Africa, from
Yeah.
my sense, I've never visited, but talking to people and what I know of South Africa, um, unfortunately, the disparities are still very strong out there, for
Yeah,
sure.
and so yeah, I'm planning a group trip, but I do think that it's also really inexpensive too when you get there. So that's a
Mhm.
great thing. If someone wanted an introduction into Africa that was like still like the West, that's a
Yeah,
great place.
get
But
your feet
if
wet
you
type of
if you
thing.
want one of my favorites, honestly, Tanzania gives me. I've been in West Africa, so I know West Africa, but it gives me West Africa, it's East Africa, and it gives me Caribbean on the continent. I
Really,
just was like, I mean, the blue water, the coconuts, the like music, that just
the
everything gives me Caribbean vibes. I love the
vibes. Yeah,
Caribbean, so
yeah.
it's just you're going, and because it's an island, Zanzibar in particular is an island, so you'll love it. I would say Everybody would love Zanzibar. Just go. You would love it.
Hook us up with a flight deal. That's
Yes,
all we
yes, that's
need.
I was about
I'm paying attention.
I was literally about to do a Zanzibar flight deal and I waited too long and it passed because I just couldn't find the time to type it. And I was like,
Yeah.
damn, these flights are like $700 when they were like between five and like and unfortunately, yeah, most people, and I just want to say this about Africa, most people don't realize this because of the distortion on our maps. Africa is big. It is
Oh,
big.
huge.
It makes it look small to fit into the proportions, but I'm gonna send you a picture. It's like Europe can fit into it, Russia can fit, like the United
Mm,
States can fit into it. Like it's like all these continents almost can fit into Africa. The landmass is big. And but you look at America and Africa and you look at the size on the map and you're like, "Oh, America's pretty big." No, baby. So that's why
mm,
when you get a flight, it's like 14 hours. That's why, because it is far and it's big. So I'm just
yeah.
saying, I just when we talk about pricing, some of it has to do with lack of competition. So there's not as many routes or things like that. But still, a lot of it has to do with the place is big. The place is
Yeah.
big. The place
Yeah.
is real big. If you're coming from Europe, it might not be as far to get to certain places, but from Canada and America, the United States, is far. So all I'm trying to say is a $500 ticket to the continent is a good price. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it like if you're not spending 1,000, if you're spending like 700 and less, that's a good flight. It's just,
Yeah,
it's
I
expensive.
I
It's
almost
far.
got a flight. Like I just didn't book it because I was just waiting to see. But I had a flight to Nigeria, and in like American dollars, it would have been like 700 or something like
That's
that.
real
Like
good. That's really
really
good.
good. And I noticed that, and that's why I was like, okay, like let's make this happen.
Yeah, let's
So
make this happen. If you're not paying 1,200,
Living
you win it.
uptown or
Okay.
the little man down in the ghetto. I would love to see peace and joy amongst the brethren. But righteousness is narrow. No man is truly free while his brothers are oppressed now. Are you my brother? And closed minds often lead to political unrest now. Love one another. If we could agree to disagree respectfully.